There are people who were never meant to become heroes, yet fate forces them to be. And Wang Lin is one of them. Born into an ordinary family, he carried a simple wish in his heart to cultivate immortality and repay his parents' kindness. But the world is never that kind. No talent, no background, no guidance, everything seemed to whisper to him, the path of cultivation is not for you. Yet in the midst of that hopelessness, Wang Lin chose something that very few have the courage to do. He kept going. He walked forward with stubbornness. He walked forward with longing. He walked forward with everything left in his resilient heart. A strange opportunity came to him, opening a path of cultivation drenched in blood and loneliness. There, every improvement required a sacrifice. Every step forward meant losing something precious. To grow stronger, he had to endure 100 times more than ordinary people. Renegade Immortal is the tale of a man who never submits. A man willing to defy the heavens, defy fate, and defy the world just to protect what his heart refuses to let go. This is not merely an immortal cultivation story. This is the journey of a soul so powerful that even eternity must bow. And today, I invite you to step into that journey, the journey of Wang Lin, the man who walks against the will of heaven to find the answer meant for himself. In a mortal village outside Phoenix City in the Chu Kingdom on the Vermilion Star, it was dawn on a warm spring day. Smoke rose from the chimneys of the houses, and the occasional bark of dogs and the playful shouts of children filled the air. To the east of the village stood 5 houses, one of which was a simple tiled roof house where an old woman sat squatting by the stove, tending to the fire to prepare rice. Her back was slightly hunched by the harshness of time, and the smoke from the stove made her cough a few times. She quickly grabbed a bamboo fan and fanned herself a few times until the smoke dissipated. "Where is Ruer's mother?" A weak voice came from the next room. The woman quickly put down her fan, wiped her hands on her dress, and hurried from the kitchen to the room from which the voice came. After pushing open the door and entering the room, they saw only an old man lying on the bed. His eyes were deeply sunken, and his face was etched with wrinkles. He was nothing but skin and bones, his eyes dull and lacking their usual sharpness. The old woman approached the bed, her face wet with tears. "Husband, what would you like to eat?" The old man raised his right arm, and the old woman hurried to help him up. "Mother of Ruer, yesterday I dreamt that our daughter returned." A glimmer of light appeared in the old man's dim eyes. "Our daughter returned." Tears streamed down the old woman's face as she softly said, "Yes. She will return very soon. I regret letting that Taoist take the child away. 20 years have passed in the blink of an eye. I wonder how our daughter is now." The old man's aged features were even more pronounced. The old woman wiped away her tears and whispered, "Nothing will happen. Our daughter is very lucky. She will surely be safe." These two were Chu Ru's parents. During the war between the Immortal tribe and the cultivators years ago, they were forced to move here to settle. Thanks to that, they were unaffected. However, the 2 elderly people still missed Chu Ryu dearly. Many years ago, the story of Chu Ryu being taken away by the Taoist priest remained a sharp thorn in their hearts. As the years passed in waiting and longing, the thorn in their hearts grew bigger and harder, piercing their hearts with increasing pain. Chu Ru's father was constantly burdened by this, becoming bedridden and increasingly frail. The burden of the family fell entirely on Chu Ru's mother's thin shoulders. A woman who managed everything in the house, yet she would wake up in the middle of the night with tears streaming down her face, constantly calling out Chu Ru's childhood name. "Our daughter will definitely come back. Don't worry. The dream we had last night will surely come true." The old woman wiped away tears from the corners of her eyes. Oh, Chu Ru's father sighed, wanting to say something, but suddenly stared intently at the door. His body froze, as if he were struck by lightning. The old woman was stunned, quickly turning to follow her husband's gaze. When her eyes fully fell outside, she trembled. Outside the door stood a girl. She had a very beautiful face, with long hair cascading down her shoulders. Her appearance was very similar to Chu Ryu in their memories. "You," the old woman hesitated, speaking softly. "Mother," tears slowly streamed down the girl's cheeks. She ran a few steps to her parents' side, kneeling on the ground and weeping aloud. "Ruer, it's really you, father. Ruer has returned." The old woman's face became agitated, hot tears flowing freely. She hugged her daughter's neck and burst into tears. Chu Ru's father suddenly felt a surge of strength. He sat up in bed, looking at Chu Ryu, hot tears streaming down his aged face. He murmured, "Heaven has eyes, heaven has eyes." My daughter has returned. Wang Lin stood outside the room, sighing softly. He felt guilty towards the couple. He lightly pointed his right hand into the air, and a burst of spiritual power flashed and then disappeared. It silently entered the room and into the bodies of Chu Ru's parents. All of Chu Ru's father's illnesses instantly vanished, and his body was filled with renewed vitality. Chu Ru's mother was the same. "Ruer, uncle must go." Wang Lin remained silent for a moment, then turned and walked away. His figure looked utterly desolate and lonely. Chu Aryu, inside the room, seemed to sense it too. She looked up at the window, watching his figure gradually disappear into the distance. "Uncle, one day, I will meet you again." Chu Aryu looked at his retreating figure, her heart aching. Wang Lin's image weighed more heavily on her than her parents, for she had lived with him since childhood. "Uncle, I will continue cultivating until I can leave the Vermilion Bird Star. I will go find you." "I will find you by then. Little Aryu will not be a burden to you." Wang Lin left. Outside the room, Little White growled softly a few times, its tiger eyes fixed on the room where Chu Aryu was kneeling, a hint of reluctance in its gaze. After a moment, it roared again, then transformed into a white light and disappeared. The tiger's roar instantly terrified all the villagers, but when everyone ran outside, they saw nothing else. However, for a whole month, all the chickens, dogs, and livestock in the village dared not go outside, staying indoors trembling as if terrified by something. "Taiyan, come out and see me," Wang Lin's voice echoed throughout the Cloud Heaven sect. A rainbow immediately flew out from within the Cloud Heaven sect and transformed into an old man standing 10 meters before Wang Lin. This man was Taiyan. At this time, Taiyan had reached the god transformation stage, and Chu Kingdom had become a 4th-level cultivation nation. "Taiyan is present." Taiyan bowed respectfully. His heart was filled with reverence for Wang Lin. On the Vermilion Bird Star, the name Wang Lin had become a legend. Wang Lin was Zhang Niu, who had beheaded Hong Dai, annihilated Qian Feng, intimidated Liu Mi, and repelled Zhu QZ and Yun QZ. A single word from him decided the fate of the 15th generation Vermilion Bird son, Chu Tai. All of this spread throughout the cultivation world of Vermilion Bird Star. Almost no one was unaware or didn't understand. In Taiyan's heart, Wang Lin was like heaven, and Wang Lin's words were like thunder that couldn't be resisted. Wang Lin raised his right hand, and a storage bag flew out and landed in Taiyan's hand. "If Chu Aryu can reach the nascent soul stage, then give this to her. If not, then forget it. It has a simple seal of mine on it. Breaking it is easy. As long as you study it diligently, you will surely be able to break it someday." Wang Lin's voice was extremely calm. Taiyan's expression immediately changed, and he hastily said Taiyan wouldn't dare. "This is something you left for Chu Aryu. Even if Taiyan dies, he must keep it intact." Wang Lin looked at Taiyan, nodded, and said, "It's best you don't be blinded by greed. Otherwise you'll surely suffer the consequences. Remember that." Taiyan's heart immediately trembled, and he quickly memorized it. He dared not disobey or disbelieve Wang Lin's words. These insights weren't something he just experienced for the first time. They were clearly before his eyes, unforgettable. Wang Lin glanced around at the surrounding scenery. He sighed softly, took a step forward, and his entire body transformed into a wisp of smoke, as if a gust of wind had blown through and dissipated. In the far north of the Vermilion Bird Star, formerly the Snow Domain Kingdom, the wind here was bone-chillingly cold, howling as it blew, causing all living beings to stop in their tracks. On the ice surface, countless roses had sprouted, but they weren't red, they were white. The field of white roses stood firm against the cold wind, a faint fragrance spreading in all directions. In the eastern lands lay an icy valley, within which grew a proud blue rose bush. It stood defiantly in the cold wind, feeding on snowflakes. It stood tall in the valley like a beautiful and proud maiden, a solitary girl with an alluring demeanor. On this day, a man entered the valley. He wore white clothes, his eyes serene. As he left the valley, the blue rose bush immediately emitted a fragrance that lingered in the air. The valley was filled with a subtle scent, as if a young woman were gently dancing within, creating a wondrous sensation. The man in white stood beside the blue rose bush. He gazed at it silently for a long, long time. He knelt down, gently plucked a flower, and then turned and left. When the blue rose followed the man, all the white roses on the ice layers here immediately withered and vanished. It seemed they were born only to be companions to that blue rose. Now that the blue rose had been taken, their existence was meaningless, worthless. They had to dissipate. At the ancestral home of the Wang family at the foot of Mount Hengyu in Zhou Kingdom, a man in white robes silently appeared. He stood silently, gazing at a row of ancestral tablets, his eyes finally settling on the 2 tablets at the top. The man stood silently for a long time. Time passed silently. The man stood there silently for a day and a night. Early the next morning, when the maid came to clean the place and saw the man in white, she was immediately terrified. She was about to cry out when her body went limp and she collapsed to the ground. The man stood silently, gazing at the ancestral tablet, his eyes filled with memories. He had stood there for 3 days and 3 nights. Waves of memories surged through his mind, and hot tears streamed down his face. He stood motionless for 3 days, finally kneeling and bowing his head to the ground. "Father, mother, I must go," he murmured, his eyes filled with determination. He stood up and turned to leave the ancestral hall. Outside, many people were standing. Among them were men and women, old and young. Everyone was dressed in fine clothes, their faces bright. There were also some cultivators in the crowd. Though their cultivation wasn't high, they were all remarkably brave and extraordinary. The leader of the group was none other than Wang Jiu. The day before, Wang Jiu felt a deep calling within him. He went outside the ancestral hall and sensed Wang Lin's aura. He knew Wang Lin wasn't trying to conceal his presence, and the call clearly came from Wang Lin's heart. Moreover, he had brought all the descendants of the Wang family with him. Whatever they were doing, they had to stop. A cultivator came to lead them all here. The moment Wang Lin emerged, Wang Jiu shouted, "All Wang family members, kneel down." Outside the ancestral home, over 100 Wang family descendants all knelt down. Regardless of their status or the privileges they enjoyed among ordinary people, the person before whom they were kneeling was their ancestor. Kneeling before one's ancestors is the filial piety of descendants. Moreover, the ancestor before them is a man of illustrious reputation throughout the Vermilion Bird Star. The Wang family is also one of the mortal families that all cultivators must show humility towards. All of this is because the Wang family has Wang Lin. Wang Jiu looked at Wang Lin and said in a low voice, "Wang Lin, I have brought all the descendants of the Wang family here to see you off." Wang Lin looked at all the generations of his blood relatives before him for a long time before nodding slightly. He said softly, "Everyone, stand up." All the descendants of the Wang family stood up simultaneously and respectfully looked towards Wang Lin. "After I leave, the Wang family will have to rely on you," Wang Lin said softly, then looked at Wang Jiu. Wang Jiu remained silent for a long time before sighing. 600 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Wang Lin, may you have a safe journey. I will take care of all the affairs of the clan. Wang Lin turned his head and gazed at the ancestral hall for a long time. Then he turned and took a step forward, and his entire body instantly disappeared. Inside the ancestral hall, silence returned, and all the clansmen bowed once more. "Farewell, ancestors," a respectful cry, emanating from the depths of their hearts, echoed from the mouths of all the clansmen. Wang Jiu looked up at the void, memories suddenly surging in his eyes. He saw himself following his father to Wang Lin's village. He saw a young man accompanying his second uncle, smiling and welcoming everyone. In Wang Jiu's eyes, the young man's smile grew wider and wider, finally becoming a single image in his mind. Wang Lin. 2 streams of tears flowed down Wang Jiu's face. On a desolate field east of the Vermilion Bird Star, Wang Lin stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his one beast roaring and flying forward like an arrow. His eyes shone like stars as he flew, observing his surroundings. After a moment, his expression subtly changed. The beast immediately understood Wang Lin's thoughts, let out a cry, and lowered itself. In an instant, it landed on a plane. Wang Lin took a step forward and stood on the ground. The intelligent beast stood beside him, its eyes cautiously scanning the surroundings. Wang Lin patted his storage bag, and a beam of green light flashed out, transforming into a thunder toad. When the thunder toad appeared, it roared a few times. The beast also hissed continuously, stepping forward and poking the thunder toad with its nose. Wang Lin opened his storage bag and examined its contents with his divine consciousness. He chose this place because it was relatively deserted. He planned to refine some of the magical artifacts inside the storage bag before leaving. First, the immortal sword and the curved saber. He only glanced at the other items and then ignored them. As for the war axe, there was no need for further refinement. He was preparing to give it to his main body. Regarding the 4 sword scabbards, Wang Lin still didn't know what mysteries lay within them. Leaving the Vermilion Bird Star at this moment was a regrettable decision for Wang Lin. He waved his hand, and the 4 scabbards immediately appeared before him. Wang Lin sat down cross-legged and exhaled a stream of primordial spirit energy. The 4 scabbards were instantly enveloped by the energy and began to be refined. Time slowly passed. 3 days later, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly lit up. The connection between the 4 scabbards and his inner self had become increasingly strong. He raised his right hand and retrieved its scabbards. Next, Wang Lin took out the Kanji Immortal Sword. With Wang Lin's current cultivation level, he couldn't decipher the divine consciousness condensed on the Kanji Immortal Sword, but he had a way to deal with it. His divine consciousness stirred slightly, and the pagoda containing Zhou Yi's divine consciousness immediately appeared from his storage bag. It fell to the ground, and the nascent soul cultivator's divine consciousness immediately spread out. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he formed a hand seal, lightly pointing at the Kanji Immortal Whip in the void, unleashing a spiritual spell. The whip immediately vibrated, and a white light shot out from its body. This light was extremely powerful. As soon as it appeared, it spread in all directions, dispelling the spiritual spell Wang Lin had just created. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. With a slight movement of his mind, Zhou Yi's divine consciousness on the pagoda immediately condensed frantically. A cluster of blue light enveloped both the Kanji Immortal Whip and the white light. Wang Lin's eyes remained calm. He pointed his right hand to his forehead. His primordial spirit immediately vibrated, leaving his body and flying towards the Kanji Immortal Whip to begin refining it. The entire process continued for 7 days. After 7 days, Zhou Yi's nascent soul divine consciousness and Wang Lin's primordial spirit finally erased the divine consciousness on the Kanji Immortal Whip. The Kanji Immortal lost its consciousness and was immediately invaded by Wang Lin's primordial spirit, leaving an imprint inside. Wang Lin looked at the Kanji Immortal. He could feel a mysterious sensation within his body. The Kanji Immortal contained many formations similar to those on the straw hat. They were both formed by formations condensed within. These 2 treasures also had differences. However, the straw hat wasn't unique, so its value was significantly reduced. Besides concealing his appearance, Wang Lin, through the jade slip of Yan Kuezi, saw that it had many other uses. But its greatest benefit to him was that the formations within could generate restrictions, elevating the effectiveness of the Forbidden Banner to a higher level. Wang Lin's goal at this moment was to concentrate 9,999 restrictions on the Forbidden Banner. To achieve this goal, he needed to master a large number of restrictions. Wang Lin concluded that the Kanji Immortal was definitely an immortal treasure, as it had condensed immortal power. Although it could unleash immortal power, for some reason its power was very strange, not as effective as using spiritual power. Wang Lin racked his brains hundreds of thousands of times but still couldn't explain this. He discovered that this object didn't require spiritual power. Simply releasing it would reveal a peculiar force within its body. From then on, this object became even more mysterious in Wang Lin's eyes. The Kanji Immortal Whip belonged to Chu Yangfei, who was forced to abandon it. Although he knew the secret of the Kanji Immortal Whip, in his eyes, it was just a discarded item. When he fled, it fell into the hands of Qian Feng, a disciple of Zhu Kezi. Chu Yangfei, fearing further trouble, left Zhu Star. Wang Lin's eyes flickered. Finally, he felt that this whip was somewhat strange. He pondered for a moment before putting it away. He flipped his right hand, and a painting appeared in his palm. Wang Lin stared at the painting. After a long silence, he slowly put it away. It was one of the magical treasures whose level of mystery was on par with the heaven-defying pearl, but now there was also the equally mysterious Kanji Immortal Whip. Wang Lin raised his head and gazed into the void, a thoughtful expression in his eyes. He lightly stroked his storage bag, and a sharp, ferocious war chariot instantly appeared on the ground. As soon as the chariot appeared, the surrounding dust and wind dispersed, not daring to approach. The sharp points on the chariot gleamed with a cold light, instilling fear in anyone who glanced at it. Wang Lin stared at the chariot, his right hand tapping his storage bag again, and the beast-taming scroll slowly floated out. He had already given one of the divine archer chariots to Sichuan, leaving Wang Lin with only two. One of them was very large. He knew that with his current cultivation level, he couldn't control it, forcing it would certainly backfire. But Wang Lin was certain he could control the second divine archer chariot within the beast-taming scroll. Half a month later, Wang Lin left this plane. During that half-month, the plane echoed with the roars of giant beasts almost all day long. The roars of the giant beasts resounded up to the 9 heavens, throughout the entire Vermilion Bird Star, and even in the lands of the Immortal Tribe, people could feel the unyielding roar of the war soul. Wang Lin sat cross-legged on the back of the spirit beast, flying straight into the distance like an arrow. His face was pale, and in his hand he held a piece of immortal jade. After a long time, the immortal jade shattered into dust. The moment the immortal jade disappeared, another piece appeared in Wang Lin's hand, and he continued to absorb the immortal power. The strength of the spirit beast far exceeded Wang Lin's expectations. Especially within it was an indomitable will and extreme arrogance, a stubborn refusal to submit to anything in the world. Finally, Wang Lin had to use all his strength to trap it within the beast domain, but a crack appeared in the beast domain. After trapping the unyielding spirit beasts, all of Wang Lin's immortal power was depleted, and he nearly lost his life. Fortunately, he had prepared beforehand, allowing him to persevere until the final stage. Wang Lin opened his eyes and touched the beast domain on his wrist, a look of fear still visible in his eyes. This thing is truly an extremely powerful magic treasure. It's a pity that only 3 main souls remain in the soul banner, otherwise, using it to complement it would surely completely cover the loopholes when activating the divine archery chariot. With the magic treasures I have now, I'm not afraid to face a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator. With a late-stage nascent soul cultivator, if I'm given time to activate the divine archery chariot, I'll have a chance. But if I face those with immortal treasures, or those in the late-stage nascent soul realm who are about to reach the peak, I won't have a chance of winning. If I had to directly confront a nascent soul cultivator, there would be no chance. I'm still too weak. The Heavenly Fortune Star is definitely far superior to the Vermilion Bird Star. The masters there will certainly be much stronger than those here. No matter where I am, I must be extremely careful. It's a pity that the heaven-defying pearl still lacks the metal attribute. Qian Feng absorbed the 5 elements and 4 spirits of Hongdai, and although I captured the metal spirit, it only increased its metal attribute by 1/3. Wang Lin sighed softly and flew straight into the distance. He was heading to the residence of the Sichuan king. In the capital city of the mortal royal family of the 4th-level cultivation kingdom of Zhou, Sichuan's cheerful voice echoed from within a huge mansion. Ha ha! Serve the master well. If I feel comfortable, I will give you some spirit pills. They can keep your wife's skin white and smooth for 20 or 30 years. The melodious voices of nightingales continuously emanated from within, mingling with the lively music that captivated the heart. Late at night, a fierce shadow flew under the moonlight in the sky, then slowly descended. A man with long, flowing hair stood on the back of the spirit beast. He stood with his hands clasped behind his back, dressed in a striking green robe. That man was Wang Lin. The spirit beast slowly flew closer. Beneath it, a city of mortals, the capital of the Zhou kingdom. Below, rooftops crowded together. A river meandered through the city from south to north. It was already the 3rd watch of the night, but the torches on a flower boat still shone brightly, and the sounds of poetry recitation and music occasionally echoed in the air. The charming laughter of the girls further enhanced the city's splendor. Wang Lin glanced at the boat. The spirit beast darted past like a phantom across the river, without a sound. In the pleasure boat, a drunken young master stepped out for a breath of fresh air. He looked up at the sky and inadvertently caught sight of Wenshu's reflection. The effects of the alcohol instantly vanished, and he stared in astonishment for a long time before regaining his composure. He chuckled to himself, thinking he had drunk too much and was experiencing hallucinations. To the east of the city stood a magnificent and luxurious mansion, filled with cheers, laughter, music, and poetry recitation. Wang Lin, standing atop Wenshu, calmly said, "Sichuan, it's time to go." In an instant, all sounds within the mansion ceased. Not a single sound could be heard, and everyone froze. A man in a purple robe emerged from within, his face filled with reluctance. He sighed, I haven't had enough. Cultivation. What a damned cultivation. I'm enjoying the life of a prince, carefree and undisturbed. Wang Lin looked up at the moon in the sky and slowly said, it's time to go. Wait a moment, after all, that little emperor in Zhou Kingdom has been very good to me. I have to do him a few good things first. Sichuan flashed and disappeared on the spot. After half an incensed time, Sichuan's figure suddenly appeared beside Wang Lin. He laughed heartily and shouted, let's go, leave the vermilion bird star. After saying that, he stomped on the one beast. The one beast, already terrified of him, let out a mournful cry and flew straight forward, transforming into a beam of light that shot up into the 9 layers of clouds. The one beast's speed increased rapidly, like a whirlwind sweeping towards the horizon. It flew into the Duan Gangfeng area and left the vermilion bird star. The moment the one beast entered the wind, Wang Lin collected it into his storage bag. Then Wang Lin, like a shooting star, flew straight inside. Sichuan's speed was even faster. The old man leapt into the gust of wind a step ahead of Wang Lin. The wind blew from the horizon, its oppressive force incredibly terrifying. Sichuan laughed heartily, shouting, disperse for me. After a terrifying roar, the wind seemed to be torn into by an invisible hand in front of Wang Lin and Sichuan. Each gust of wind quickly retreated, creating a large path. Wind in the sky is inherently invisible, only perceptible through the body, but at this moment, amidst the swirling wind and clouds, there were many waves, and in an instant, these waves spread in all directions. At this moment, all the mortals and cultivators on the vermilion bird star had to look up. The sky in their eyes today suddenly became incredibly brilliant. Radiance of all colors shone throughout the world. On Vermilion Bird Mountain, Chuatai, clad in a red robe, stood atop the peak, gazing towards the horizon, a hint of melancholy in his eyes. Following him was a group of newly selected Vermilion Bird Mountain stewards responsible for relaying his every command. Brother Wang, have a safe journey. Chu Tai whispered. Memories of his early days with Wang Lin flashed through his mind. From a humble mortal prince of the Four-Sex Alliance to its demise, and now Wang Lin relinquished his Vermilion Bird Sun title to him. Chu Tai recalled everything, feeling as if it were a dream. Indeed, time had passed, and things had changed. All the members of the Wang clan in Zhao Kingdom looked up at the sky. Wang Zhuo also gazed towards the horizon and sighed softly. Beside him was a young man of 14 or 15 years old, very handsome. At this moment, he softly said, Grandfather Ancestor, is our ancestor in heaven. Wang Zhuo patted the young man's head and calmly said, yes. That is the younger brother whom Grandfather Ancestor has respected the most in his life. In a mountain gorge amidst a dense forest in the territory of Chu Kingdom, a huge and extremely powerful tiger roared and charged straight towards a wild boar. It easily killed its prey and threw it behind it to 7 or 8 tigresses. The tiger raised its head and roared. It suddenly closed its mouth, its tiger eyes rolled to the sky, and it stood still like a statue. Finally, he's gone. Every time Grandpa Tiger saw him, his heart turned cold. After a moment, the tiger roared again, a hint of satisfaction in its growl. It turned and led a pack of female tigers straight into the deep forest to find their next prey. Little White was still waiting for Churu's call. In its heart, it still felt that one day Chu-Ryu would come to take it away. In Phoenix Village in Chu Kingdom, Churu's parents sat in the courtyard watching her, a relaxed smile on their lips. The three of them were talking when suddenly Chu-Ryu looked up at the horizon. Uncle, Chu-Ryu stared blankly at the sky. She vaguely felt that her uncle was slowly leaving this place. The distance between her and her uncle was growing further and further, a distance that stretched endlessly like an entire lifetime. On the land of the immortal tribe's Vermilion Bird Star, Yun Quasi sat atop a mountain, gazing up at the sky. A short period of time had aged him considerably compared to a year ago. He had been severely injured when he left the Vermilion Bird Tomb. He had spent a year healing and recovering, but his vital energy had been severely damaged. Furthermore, he felt his lifespan dwindling, a weariness creeping into his heart. The lifespan of the immortal tribe was far greater than that of cultivators. Otherwise, with Yun Quasi's cultivation level many years ago, he would have died prematurely. The younger generation is formidable. After a moment, Yun Quasi sighed. On the land of the immortal tribe, tens of thousands of miles away from Yun Quasi, a young man with shimmering golden symbols on his body looked up at the sky, a melancholic expression on his face. Brother Wong, do you still remember me? This person is the young clan leader of the Immortal tribe, and he has many complicated stories. He didn't manage to seize the cultivation star in the Vermilion Bird tomb, but he didn't die either. Brother Wong, I also want to leave Vermilion Bird Star. I hope we can meet again someday. At this moment, all the cultivators on Vermilion Bird Star felt the turbulent waves in the sky. Following their gaze, Wang Lin and Sichun Nan had overcome the raging storms and entered the starry sky. The calls of the giant demon tribe's ancestors continued to echo from the underground of the Vermilion Bird Star. Thak Sam, in the ancient godland, was still laughing heartily. The day he escaped the encirclement was not far off. In the cultivation demon sea, the rumors of the 100-day extermination order of 10,000 demons still resounded. There is a legend that a cultivator named Wang Lin left behind a monument on Vermilion Bird Star. A rainbow-like streak of light, resembling a shooting star, was hurtling through the starry sky outside the Vermilion Bird Star. This rainbow-like streak was actually a compass. Though it was missing a corner, its speed was incredibly fast. At this moment, Wang Lin was sitting on the compass, while Sichunan sat cross-legged beside him. Wang Lin, let's go to the trading star to buy some things. After that, we'll part ways. Sichunan's voice lowered slightly. Wang Lin was silent for a moment, then slowly said, finally, there will be a day when we have to say goodbye. You don't want to become a prince on the Phoenix Star, do you? Upon hearing the word prince, Sichunan immediately burst into laughter, saying, that's right, that's my goal. Wang Lin smiled, and the star compass below flew straight towards the void to the left, following the target Sichunan pointed out on the star map. I passed by the trading star tens of thousands of years ago. I wonder if it still exists now. Wang Lin said. Sichunan pondered for a moment, then said, it's probably still there. It's a free trade planet, said to have existed for a very long time. As long as there isn't a major upheaval, it's definitely still there. There are all kinds of magical artifacts and materials there. The people who go there are usually cultivators from all the cultivation planets, so it's extremely bustling. Years ago, Yuya and I went there once to exchange some treasures. Wang Lin nodded. This time, he went to the trading planet for two reasons. Firstly, to see Sichunan off. The old man went there to buy some tools for traveling through space. Secondly, Wang Lin wanted to see if he could buy materials to repair and complete his star compass. His star compass wasn't a genuine product. It was still missing some materials. If he had the materials, Wang Lin would refine the star compass to make it complete. This would not only increase its speed, but also give it additional attack attributes. After flying for several days, Wang Lin spotted a small planet in the distance. This wasn't the trading planet as Sichunan had described, but rather the moon planet outside the Vermilion Bird planet. His main body was sitting quietly there. When the star compass reached the moon planet, his main body, deep underground, suddenly opened its eyes wide and unleashed a punch. Cracks, resembling countless evil dragons, suddenly surged from the depths of the earth. Amidst the creaking sounds, a thunderous explosion erupted from a valley on the moon planet, and simultaneously, a dark figure flashed and soared into the sky. A person with flowing red hair, a sharp, resolute face, and three slowly rotating planetary points on their forehead exuded an eerie aura. Especially striking were their eyes, filled with icy cold light, like blocks of thousand-year-old ice. His bronze-colored skin was covered with dense, chaotic patterns, making it rough, but this rough texture gave his body a wild, untamed appearance. At this moment, the main body resembled an extremely arrogant ancient beast. Ah! Sichunan was astonished. Although he had heard Wang Lin talk about the main body, this was his first time meeting it. Sichunan glanced over, and even with his knowledge, he felt a shock in his heart. Good? Sichunan's eyes lit up. After the main body's cold gaze met Sichunan's, it softened. He nodded and stepped straight onto the star compass. Sichunan looked at the main body, then at Wang Lin, and nodded, saying, good. With my cultivation level, it's difficult to discern that you two are one entity. This reassures me. Surely, after merging, your cultivation will increase by another level. Wang Lin smiled and said, if I merge with the main body, I will reach the peak of the mid-stage of the nascent soul realm. The main body of the original being stirred slightly and merged into Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's body trembled slightly, and after a long while, a cold glint appeared in his eyes. He clenched his fist and calmly said, "This feeling is wonderful." After Wang Lin merged with the original being, the star compass continued to fly straight towards the trading star. A month passed in the blink of an eye. During this month, Wang Lin and Sichu Nan were not idle. Sichu Nan taught Wang Lin all the magical techniques and divine abilities he knew. Besides that, the two of them sparred many times. At the beginning, Sichu Nan even suppressed his cultivation to be able to fight on equal terms with Wang Lin. With similar cultivation levels and no magical artifacts, Wang Lin's weaknesses were immediately exposed when he only fought with magical techniques. Sichu Nan possessed a variety of magical techniques, which he continuously unleashed. Although he didn't use any magical artifacts, his power was immense. At this point, Wang Lin, despite having his true form and not being completely defeated, was still struggling. Under Sichu Nan's guidance, Wang Lin gradually learned to use magical techniques he had never tried before. Moreover, after receiving Sichu Nan's teachings, he was able to fight on equal terms with him. Afterward, Sichu Nan raised his cultivation level, limiting it to the late stage of the nascent soul realm. Without using any magical artifacts, Wang Lin would naturally be no match for them. But Sichu Nan said, "Your combat experience with late-stage nascent soul cultivators and peak-level cultivators is too limited. Therefore, if you face these kinds of powerful cultivators, you won't be able to fully utilize your agility. If you want to seize the opportunity, you must now sense the pressure of these cultivators and hone your combat skills." Wang Lin understood after hearing this. He carefully observed, gradually becoming more perceptive and agile. Finally, when Sichu Nan's cultivation level increased to early stage peak level, eliminating Wang Lin would be incredibly easy, so he only required Wang Lin to dodge and flee. These kinds of training were extremely brutal, but fortunately, after Wang Lin and his main body merged, his body had reached the level of a 3-star ancient god. Otherwise, he would have continuously suffered serious injuries. Sichu Nan also noticed this, so he fiercely trained Wang Lin. Although a month was short, Wang Lin made a lot of progress. One day, a blue cultivation planet appeared before Wang Lin. A circular light surrounded the planet, emitting gentle rays of light. Sichu Nan's eyes flashed as he stared intently at the blue cultivation planet before him, his enormous divine consciousness frantically extending and spreading across the planet. After a while, he withdrew his divine consciousness and resolutely said, "The trading planet is still the same as when I left. The biggest change is that this time, no one here has a cultivation level stronger than mine. Haha, damn it, I have to seize the tower. Since I've come here, I must take it." Wang Lin smiled wryly, and the star compass transformed into a rainbow, flying straight into the cultivation planet. The gentle circle of light offered no resistance. As the star compass flew past, it instantly opened a path. The star compass broke through the void and flew straight into the cultivation planet. At this moment, 3 streaks of rainbow light suddenly shot towards them from afar at incredible speed. Sichu Nan glared, sweeping his gaze across the 3 figures in the distance before shouting, "Get out of my way!" The 3 streaks of rainbow light suddenly stopped and turned to leave. Sichu Nan laughed heartily, his body flashing as he left from the star compass and flew into the distance. He transmitted a message, "Wang Lin, I'm going to go kill some slayers for a while. You can wander around freely. I'll come find you in 3 days." As soon as Sichu Nan's voice reached Wang Lin's ears, his figure vanished from his sight. Wang Lin retracted the star compass. He took a step forward, his entire body transforming into a wisp of green smoke and flying away like an arrow. On this planet, a vast ocean occupied more than half of its surface, and gusts of sea wind blew directly into Wang Lin's face. Waves surged across the blue sea, making the air feel very humid. His body suddenly flashed like lightning and quickly flew straight towards the mainland. His divine consciousness swept across, clearly revealing all the changes within a radius of 10,000 feet. The distant mainland grew closer and closer, and in an instant, Wang Lin set foot on solid ground. His divine consciousness swept across the area and discovered a colossal city ahead, resembling a beast lying prostrate on the ground. Minghang City was a gigantic city on the planet. Within it, there were no ordinary mortals, only cultivators. Shops lined the city, and to the west stood a massive square. Many cultivators from the starry sky were exchanging spirit stones for other things. Items sold here could be exchanged for treasures or spirit stones. There were many cultivators in Minhang City, bustling about like shuttles between shops. The free market in the west was particularly crowded with buyers and sellers. There were very few cultivators in the northern part of the city, but this was where the most luxurious shops were concentrated. There were 9 shops in total, each beautifully constructed like something from the immortal realm, and the shop assistants inside possessed high cultivation levels. The 9th shop, in particular, could be considered the best in Minhang City. At this moment, a young man in green robes entered through the east gate. He was tall and slender, with long hair tied back, giving him a very carefree appearance. This man was Wang Lin. After handing over a spirit stone, he went straight into the city, his gaze sweeping across each shop. Wang Lin's objective was clear. He needed to purchase 2 different materials to repair the star compass. These 2 materials wouldn't be easily found in ordinary places like this. As he walked, Wang Lin glanced at each shop, occasionally stopping to look around before continuing. Reaching the 7th shop, Wang Lin suddenly turned around, looking at a small, young man walking behind him. This young man had been silently following Wang Lin since he entered the city. Seeing Wang Lin look back, the young man showed no fear. Instead, he smiled brightly and quickly stepped forward, standing 3 paces in front of Wang Lin, bowing respectfully and saying, "Senior, is this your first time in Minhang City? This person's cultivation is late nascent soul stage. He hasn't reached the god transformation stage yet. What's the matter?" Wang Lin calmly replied. The young man still wore a smile on his face, but inwardly he was extremely nervous. When Wang Lin first entered, he realized this was definitely someone visiting for the first time. It's worth noting that Minhang City had undergone some renovations. Most people entered through the west gate because it was the closest to the free market, which had many shops selling a wide variety of treasures. Some items could be bought at slightly cheaper prices there, but it was difficult to distinguish between genuine and fake goods. To buy good items, one needed knowledge. Those who entered through the east gate were either first-time visitors or important customers. The young man hastily said, "Senior, my name is Li Dennan, and I have lived in Minhang City since childhood. If this is your first time here, my guidance would save you a lot of time. Just give me 10 top-grade spirit stones." Wang Lin glanced at the young man, pondered for a moment, then nodded. 10 top-grade spirit stones wasn't a small amount. It could buy some low-level magic treasures and elixirs. But back then, before going to the Vermilion Bird Tomb, Wang Lin had plundered all the spirit stones of the immortal tribe, so he was now wealthy. Li Dennan hurriedly bowed respectfully, saying, "Senior, may I ask if you are looking for magic treasures, immortal jade, or materials? Or perhaps some incantations, symbols, or divine abilities?" Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, calmly saying, "I want to buy Kunmu Stone. Do you know what this is?" Kunmu Stone. Li Dennan pondered. After a while, his eyes suddenly lit up, saying, "Kunmu Stone has the wood attribute but grows on rocks, and it only grows an inch every 10 years, right?" Wang Lin was surprised. This person's knowledge of Kunmu Stone is truly extraordinary. It's important to know that Kunmu Stone is a material used to refine the ancient star compass, as recorded in the ancient gods diagram. The ancient god tribe generally doesn't need to use the star compass because their bodies can already travel through the starry sky. Only certain special regions or low-ranking tribesmen use these objects. The ancient god tribe's star compass is also somewhat different from the compasses currently used by the Cultivation Alliance. He needs to use some special materials and techniques to refine it. Once successful, its speed and power will be several times greater than the current star compass. Li Dennan's expression became awkward. He hesitated for a moment, then said, "Senior, I've only heard about that thing. There are people selling it in the free market, but the price is very high. Moreover, besides increasing the speed of flying swords, it has no other use, so no one wants to buy it. Afterwards, the seller of this would send some friends in the market to sell it for him. If you want to go, I can lead the way, but senior, the price is very high. If it's not absolutely necessary, wouldn't it be better to use other materials instead? I have my own use for it. Just lead the way." Wang Lin said softly. Li Dennan didn't say much. He led Wang Lin into the free market in the west of the city. The free market in the west of the city was enormous, bustling with buyers and sellers. Li Dennan, true to his reputation of having lived there since childhood, led Wang Lin straight into the market. Everywhere on the ground were shops belonging to cultivators. Besides all kinds of magical artifacts, weapons, elixirs, and secret manuals, the market had everything. They even advertised some ancient magical artifacts and strangely shaped objects, attracting many cultivators' attention. As they passed each stall, Li Dan meticulously explained to Wang Lin everything related to the free market. Li Dan seemed to be in a hurry, but his words were very witty. "Senior, that man in the black and white robe hasn't been here long, but all the goods he sells are substandard. He's tricked many unsuspecting people. A few days ago, I saw someone chasing him, and unexpectedly, he's still sitting here selling his wares. Perhaps the person chasing him either failed or is dead." Wang Lin also glanced in the direction Li Dan was pointing. After a while, Li Dan stopped at a large shop on the side of the market. He clasped his hands together and looked at the shopkeeper, saying, "Senior Zhang, do you remember me?" The shopkeeper was a red-faced old man. He glanced at Li Dan, a smile appearing at the corner of his mouth, and said, "Little rascal, have you taken a liking to any of my treasures?" After saying this, the old man glanced at Wang Lin, but his eyes immediately became serious, his pupils slightly contracting. With his cultivation level, the old man could tell at a glance that Wang Lin was no ordinary person. He hurriedly stood up and respectfully said, "Senior, I am Zhang Ichui Lin. May I ask what you wish to purchase?" "Kunmu stone." Wang Lin looked at the red-faced old man and said in a low voice. The red-faced old man was stunned and said, "That item is very luxurious. I'm only selling it on behalf of a friend." Before he left, he said that this item cannot be bargained for or exchanged and is only sold for 5 top-grade spirit stones. Li Dan smiled wryly and said, "5 top-grade spirit stones? That's too high a price. Top-grade spirit stones, except for 7th-level cultivation nations, are extremely rare from 6th-level cultivation nations downwards. And in 7th-level cultivation nations, this item is also a very effective material. Therefore, people wouldn't pay that price to buy it." The red-faced old man sighed and said, "This item is priced too high because that friend of mine is too stubborn and refuses to lower the price. I have no choice but to accept it. Senior, please take a look." Wang Lin pondered for a moment, then said, "Take it out and let me see." The red-faced old man hesitated slightly. He potted his storage bag, and a small blue stone immediately appeared in his hand. This stone was only the size of a palm, with many lines on its surface resembling cracks, looking as if a living tree trunk was inside. A thin halo of light enveloped the stone. It was a mandatory spell to learn for trading here, called the Binding Wine spell. After casting it, it could prevent buyers from using force to steal the item. Unless the opponent's cultivation was much higher than the spellcaster's, it would take more than 10 breaths to dispel this spell. But those 10 breaths were enough to retrieve the item. Wang Lin waved his right hand, and the object immediately flew from the red-faced old man's hand into Wang Lin's hand. The thin circle of light showed no reaction. It flickered and then dissipated. The old man's face changed color, and he silently took a deep breath. He knew the young man before him had a very high cultivation level, but he hadn't expected to have underestimated him. This person's cultivation level must be at least the nascent soul stage. Wang Lin took out the Kunmu stone and carefully examined it several times. After confirming that it was indeed the item he wanted to buy, he waved his hand and put it back into his storage bag. "Senior." The red-faced old man's expression turned unpleasant. Before he could finish speaking, 5 rhombus-shaped spirit stones emitting white light appeared and floated in front of him. The red-faced old man glanced at them and recognized them as top-grade spirit stones. He quickly put them away and cautiously looked around. Seeing that few people were paying attention, he breathed a sigh of relief. When he looked again, he only saw Wang Lin's back disappearing into the crowd. The red-faced old man hesitated for a while, then immediately packed up his stall and quickly left Minghang City. The old man knew he was guilty of possessing the jade. 5 blocks of top-grade spirit stones were enough to attract a group of nascent soul cultivators to hunt him down. He had never imagined he would one day sell the Kunmu stone. As Wang Lin left the market, his gaze shifted back, his expression remaining calm. Just moments ago, when he bought the Kunmu stone, he had felt 3 pairs of eyes like lightning staring back at him. Li Dan-non. Wang Lin said calmly. Senior, I'm here. Li Dan-non hurriedly stepped forward and respectfully said. His demeanor was much more respectful than before. Wang Lin's handling of the Kunmu stone had shaken him. Buying and selling here, if it's an important treasure, will attract the attention of thieves. If that's the case, why is it still so bustling? Wang Lin asked. Li Dan-non quickly replied, Senior, there's something you don't know. The buyers and sellers in the market are all powerful cultivators, and they don't come alone, so they won't be noticed. Those who worrying about this will go to large, reputable shops to sell their goods. After selling, the money will be in their hands, avoiding unnecessary trouble. They might even go to the city lord and spend spirit stones to hire some cultivators for protection. But there are still many people blinded by greed. Therefore, there will definitely be danger when trading. It all depends on fate. Wang Lin smiled. It was his first time here, so he was a little bewildered, but he knew these things well. Back in the cultivation demon sea, wasn't he hunted down and robbed just because he was the guardian of the alchemy furnace? Is there ink snow liquid here? Wang Lin looked up at the sky and asked. Ink snow liquid? Li Dan-non pondered for a long time. He seemed to have never heard of this item before and could only give a wry smile saying, Senior, I don't know. After saying that, Li Dan-non's eyes suddenly lit up and he said, Senior. Although I don't know what Mozi is, the Shanghai shop in Mingxi City claims to have everything. So perhaps they have this. What? Explain it more clearly. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and said calmly, Shanghai is the largest shop in Mingxi City. It is said that after receiving the support of a 7th-level cultivation nation, many of its shops have sprung up on the trading star. Anyone who comes to the shop to buy or trade is protected until they leave the planet a million miles away. If anyone requests it, they will be escorted back to their home planet. Li Dan-non immediately said. After hearing this, Wang Lin nodded and said, Lead the way. Li Dan-non felt excited in his heart. He had lived in Mingxi City for many years, yet had only passed through the northern part of the city twice. Moreover, he couldn't even enter the shops there, only daring to linger outside. Only powerful cultivators dared to enter. Those without much money wouldn't be able to buy anything. Under Li Dan-non's guidance, the two flew quickly to the northern part of the city. Wang Lin glanced around and saw 9 spacious and towering shops, resembling imperial palaces, located there. Senior, the building deep inside is the merchant market. This isn't a place ordinary cultivators can enter. There will be inspectors before Li Dan-non could finish speaking. Waves of sky blue light suddenly appeared in the void and spread straight towards Wang Lin. Those approaching, please stop. A haughty and cold voice emanated from the void. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. He gently raised his right hand and lightly patted forward. A strange gust of wind immediately shot out and quickly dispersed in all directions. Finally, about 100 yards in front of Wang Lin, a shimmering blue light transformed into a young man dressed in blue. This man had a displeased expression, his eyes fixed ominously on Wang Lin. Li Dan-non's eyes flashed. He had lived in Minghong City for many years, and although he had only visited the North City twice and had seen people coming out to inspect, he had never encountered a situation where someone directly blocked his way the moment he entered. Wang Lin's expression was normal. Although this person's cultivation hadn't reached the early stage of the nascent soul realm like his own, he was only half a step away from it. He was in the process of absorbing immortal jade. The immortal power in this person's body was enough for him to advance to the nascent soul realm, but he was also preparing, like Wang Lin, to choose the second method. If he had enough immortal jade, advancing to the nascent soul realm would be very easy. The young man stared at Wang Lin, snorting coldly, and said, Get out. A cold glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes as he took a step forward. After merging with his main body and fighting with Sijunan for a month, Wang Lin's combat experience had increased significantly, especially his speed. His body moved with incredible speed. Almost instantly, Wang Lin had traversed 100 yards, his right fist punching straight forward. A massive surge of power condensed in his fist. The punch didn't make a tearing sound, but the still space showed tiny cracks, as if about to collapse. The young man's face changed color. He hadn't expected that a punch from someone only in the early stages of the nascent soul realm could possess such power. This punch, let alone him, would require a huge amount of immortal power to block, and a careless attempt would result in serious injury. He wanted to retreat, but his body was bound by an unbelievable force, rendering him completely immobile. He could only stare as the fist grew larger and larger in front of him. Cold sweat trickled down his nose, but his eyes showed no sign of panic. He clearly saw that Wang Lin's cultivation was only at the nascent soul stage, yet he dared to speak such arrogant words. Therefore, there must be someone here with even higher cultivation and an extraordinary identity. Stop! A calm voice slowly emanated from the third stall. Following it was a beam of light, a mere teacup, yet moving with incredible speed. The teacup contained a massive surge of immortal power, which shot straight towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and with his right hand forming a hand seal, a stream of immortal power instantly condensed on his fingertip, then immediately drew a curve and shot straight towards the teacup. Wang Lin softly chanted, "Start transformation." The immortal power released from Wang Lin's fingertip instantly condensed and quickly rotated. It became a complete circle that shot straight towards and pierced through the teacup. The teacup's speed immediately slowed down, but then it rotated again, forming a curve around Wang Lin 3 meters in front of him. A cry of "ah" came from inside the shop. Wang Lin's lightning-fast punch instantly landed in the void, but the arrogant young man's face turned unusually red. He spat out a mouthful of brown blood, his eyes dimmed, and he slowly retreated several steps. His body trembled again, and he spat out another mouthful of fresh blood. His body shook continuously, and streams of white immortal energy frantically flew out from the pores of his 7 orifices. In the blink of an eye, not a trace of immortal power remained in his body. You crippled my immortal foundation. The young man's face, instead of flushed red, turned deathly pale. Wang Lin's punch didn't kill him, but it destroyed the immortal foundation he had painstakingly cultivated. This was tantamount to directly reverting his cultivation, which was on the verge of the nascent soul stage, back to the transformation god stage. Wang Lin retracted his punch and clasped his hands behind his back. He calmly looked towards the shop where he had thrown the teacup. The star transformation technique belonged to Siju Nan. Previously, on Vermilion Bird Star, when Wang Lin fought against others, magical artifacts were the most important. But now, after a month of training with Siju Nan, he no longer relied on magical artifacts as before. For a true cultivator with great divine abilities, magical artifacts are merely auxiliary tools. Divine abilities and magical techniques are what's truly terrifying. Of course, if you have extremely powerful magical artifacts of mid-level or higher, then there's an exception. This is what Siju Nan once told Wang Lin. This gentleman's abilities are truly remarkable. May I know your name? A calm voice emanated from within the shop, and a tall figure suddenly appeared. It was a young man in a purple robe. He had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes, his gaze profound and unfathomable. The space around him suddenly rippled, clearly indicating he had reached the peak of the mid-stage of the nascent soul realm in unleashing immortal power. Wang Lin glanced at him, his expression unchanged, and slowly said, "Wang Lin. Wang Lin, I am Bai Wei." The young man swung his right hand forward, and a white feather fin suddenly appeared in his hand, giving him the air of a young master. The young man whose immortal cultivation had been destroyed by Wang Lin's punch was standing not far away. His face was pale, and he limped a few steps to Bai Wei's side. He stared at Wang Lin, viciously saying, "Young master, kill him." Bai Wei raised his eyebrows, turned around, and calmly said, "This is none of your business. Step back." The young man was stunned. He looked at Bai Wei, then at Wang Lin, a strange expression in his eyes. Then he snorted softly but said nothing more. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. He noticed that although the name sounded somewhat feminine, he could tell at a glance that this person was male, not female. "Brother Wang, please don't blame me for my disrespect. I, Bai, come from Tianyuan Star. My sect is Tianyuan sect. May I ask where Brother Wang is from?" Bai Wei smiled politely, as if all the unpleasantness from before had vanished into thin air. A strange expression appeared in Wang Lin's eyes as he said, "I'm a wanderer, without a sect." Bai Wei smiled and shook his head, saying, "If Brother Wang doesn't want to talk about it, I won't force him. If Brother Wang has some free time, please come to Tianyuan Star so I can treat you well." Wang Lin nodded and took a step forward, directly passing through the two of them and soaring straight ahead. Li Dan-non felt terrified and hurriedly followed closely behind, fearing disaster would befall him. Bai Wei continued to watch Wang Lin's retreating figure, a strange light in his eyes. He retracted the fan in his hand and lightly tapped his left hand, softly saying, "On the mountain there are trees, and the trees have branches. My heart loves you. Do you know?" The young man whose immortal cultivation had been crippled glanced at Bai Wei, the strange expression in his eyes intensifying. It wasn't until Wang Lin's figure completely disappeared into the last shop that Bai Wei withdrew his gaze. He glanced at the servant beside him and chuckled softly, saying, "It's just a matter of immortal opportunity, isn't it? I'll give it to you when I return to Chanyan Star. Let's go. The 10,000-year birthday celebration of my master is approaching, and I can't be late." Having said that, he went straight into the third shop ahead. The item he wanted to buy didn't need to be precious, but it had to be exceptionally exquisite. He had already visited all the shops here, and this was the only one left to explore. The places Bai Wei visited were usually off limits to outsiders, and this arrogant attitude had even reached his servants, leading to the scene of them preventing Wang Lin from entering the North City. Wang Lin stepped into the merchant's shop. It was a colossal and incredibly luxurious palace. In the main hall, 99 statues carved from spirit stones caught his eye. A dense surge of spiritual energy struck him, causing Li Dan-non to stare in astonishment. He had never seen such a powerful spiritual force anywhere since he was born. Li Dan-non hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth and sat down to cultivate, letting Wang Lin do whatever he wanted. Wang Lin looked at the neatly arranged statues before him. They were all statues of gentle and beautiful women, each with a different but all exquisite beauty. Each statue held a brocade box, on which lay all sorts of strange spiritual elixirs and magical treasures, in short, everything imaginable. At that moment, a clear, bell-like laugh echoed from the void. Immediately afterward, a captivatingly beautiful woman descended the stairs. Her beautiful eyes swept across the room before settling on Wang Lin. The woman wore a snow-white outfit and a long, floor-length skirt, the hem adorned with layers of embroidered datura flowers, clearly visible against the white background. Her hair, like soft silk, flowed down her back. 3 glass hairpins, one purple and one white, adorned her hair, which rippled like waves with each step. 3 thin, pale purple patches, about the size of a little finger, beneath her left eye flickered with light, making her face as beautiful as a painting. "Welcome, fellow Taoist, to the merchant's shop." The girl's voice was melodious and enchanting like a nightingale. Her beauty was unparalleled, but Wang Lin's gaze only lingered on the thin purple patches beneath her left eye. With his keen eyesight, he could easily discern that these small pieces were some kind of magical artifact. Even the 9 datura flowers on her clothes were rare magical artifacts. The 3 hairpins on her head were undoubtedly also magical artifacts. Everything on this girl was a treasure. It was clear how extravagant this place was. "Is Mo Zuyi here?" Wang Lin asked calmly, his gaze fixed straight ahead. Leaving the Shang family's shop, Wang Lin gave Li Dan-non 10 top-grade spirit stones and quickly left Mingmen City. The Shang family's shop did indeed have ink snow liquid, but it was incredibly expensive. Wang Lin calculated that all the spirit stones he had would probably only be enough for 2 or 3 bottles of ink snow liquid. The price was far beyond his expectations. He hadn't thought that ink snow liquid was one of the most valuable materials in the cultivation world. Ancient gods traveling across planets could easily collect ink snow liquid. But for cultivators, it was extremely rare. According to the woman, it was the best substance for nourishing the primordial spirit. Even a small amount of ink snow liquid during soul possession could accelerate the primordial spirit fusion process several times faster. Even when the soul leaves the body, if there is a little ink snow liquid in the mouth, it can maintain the soul from dissipating, and no matter how severely injured, it can still return to the body. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. He found a cliff outside Mingmen City, sat cross-legged, and silently called out to Sichunan. After a while, Sichunan responded, "I want the ink snow liquid from the Shang family's shop in Mingmen City." Wang Lin transmitted his divine sense. Sichunan on the other side immediately burst into laughter and cut off the communication. On this trading star, there are a total of 9 cities. After 3 days, earth-shattering news spread like wildfire. Heaven and Earth City was being plundered by a mysterious person. This person had very sharp eyes. The stolen items were all treasures from the shops. Even the most solidly built shops were not exempt. All were looted. The residents of the Lord of Julian's city also suffered a similar calamity. If it were just one city, it wouldn't be a big deal. But then, by the night of the third day, all 9 cities, including Mingmin City, were completely plundered by this mysterious figure. This person possessed extremely high abilities. Even when surrounded by a large number of cultivators, they easily dealt with them. Finally, 5 peak-level cultivators in the 9 cities, enraged, joined forces to eliminate this person. This battle shocked everyone. The 5 peak-level cultivators all fled in defeat. The mysterious figure calmly left. This level of strength can only be achieved by those with legendary peak-level abilities, the Yin-Yang dualistic power, and the Shattered Nirvana realm. Wherever this person went, they were like locusts devouring the sun. No one dared to touch them, and everyone kept their distance. For 3 days, Wang Lin remained seated on the cliff, gazing towards Mingmin City. On the 3rd day, as the moon rose high, a smile played on Wang Lin's lips. He potted his storage bag, took out his straw hat, and put it on. In the distance, a figure approached like a thunderbolt, followed by countless cultivators who seemed to cover the sky and earth, relentlessly pursuing him. Haha, you little brats! I'm not a woman. Why are you chasing me? Are you here to let me rob you? Sichuan laughed loudly. As he passed Wang Lin on the cliff, Sichuan extended his right hand and grabbed him. A powerful force instantly enveloped Wang Lin, transforming him into a shooting star and flying towards Sichuan. Sichuan potted his storage bag, laughing heartily. I've gained a lot. Let's go. With that, he swiftly flew away with Wang Lin. You mad bandit, stop behind Sichuan. A series of angry shouts rang out. Unless there's something wrong with my head, how could I possibly listen to you and obediently stand still? However, I'll try it out once. Listen carefully, you rats. Don't chase after us. Sichuan laughed arrogantly, taking Wang Lin with him. Their figures moved like lightning, soaring through the atmosphere, transforming into 2 streaks of light heading straight into the starry sky. These shops on the trading star are very heavily guarded. If they send experts, it will be very troublesome for me to deal with them. Let's seize the opportunity to rob them before they can react. I used to do this kind of thing with Yu back then, Sichuan said with a hint of smugness. After entering the starry sky, Wang Lin took out the star compass, and the 2 flew away quickly. The people from the trading star chased after them for a while but had to give up. After all, many people possessed the star compass, and the opponent's abilities were too formidable. Chasing after them would only be a suicidal act. Did you get my ink snow liquid? Although Wang Lin didn't directly participate, this ink snow liquid was something he had requested, so he could be considered indirectly an accomplice. Sichuan laughed heartily, taking a small bottle from his storage bag and handing it to Wang Lin, saying, Here you go. There seems to be quite a lot inside. Still holding the small bottle in his hand, Sichuan hurriedly examined the spoils in his storage bag, admiring them for a moment. A smug expression appearing on his face. Haha, this time the harvest is not bad, several times more than before. Wang Lin accepted it, his divine consciousness sweeping over it, a thoughtful expression appearing in his eyes. This robbery isn't bad either. If I have the opportunity in the future, I'll go rob someone too, Wang Lin secretly decided. The starry sky wasn't entirely dark. Occasionally, one could see bizarre, dazzling objects of many colors. These objects were so beautiful that a single glance would shake one's mind. Then, before Wang Lin appeared a nebula resembling a gigantic jellyfish. Sichuan looked at the nebula, sighed softly, and said, Wang Lin, I must leave. Wang Lin remained silent, quietly gazing at the nebula, and asked, Do you have enough magical artifacts? Sichuan laughed heartily and said, Not yet. However, we'll plunder along the way, and we'll have enough when we arrive. After saying this, he pointed at the nebula and added, Yu and I split up when we encountered this nebula. My destination is far from the heavenly fortune star, so now you and I will share some of these items. After saying this, Sichuan potted his storage bag. Immediately, a beam of white light flew out from the storage bag, stopping in midair and transforming into a huge light sword. Sichuan's body flashed, and he stood up on the light sword, turning his head to glance at Wang Lin, saying, Wang Lin, you are unfamiliar with life on Heavenly Fortune Star. So you must be very careful, but you must not lose the pride of a cultivator from Vermilion Bird Star. If anything goes wrong, come to Phoenix Star to find me. With me here, no one dares to anger you. Wang Lin looked at the nebula, never looking at Sichuan, silently nodding, and said, "You must be careful. If anything goes wrong, come to Heavenly Fortune Star to find me. With me here, no one will dare to touch you." Sichuan laughed loudly, saying, "Wang Lin, you're very clever. All right, if one day I encounter difficulties, I will come to you for refuge. However, if it's your little temple, I won't come. You said you wanted to establish a sect in the Heavenly Fortune sect. Then I'll be your grand elder." After saying this, Sichuan took a deep breath, glanced at Wang Lin again, and for the first time spoke in a gentle tone. "Wang Lin, take care." Then, the light sword beneath his feet transformed into a rainbow and suddenly disappeared. "Sichuan, take care." Wang Lin turned his head to look in the direction Sichuan had disappeared. In this starry sky, he was now alone, standing silently on the star compass. After a long time, Wang Lin sighed softly, a feeling of melancholy rising in his heart. Since he embarked on the path of cultivation, Sichuan had been his friend, their bond very deep. Although Sichuan was mostly asleep, Wang Lin could clearly sense Sichuan's presence through the heaven-defying pearl. In his eyes, Sichuan was truly no different from a master. This was a true farewell, and Wang Lin felt immense sorrow. "I don't know if we'll ever meet again in this lifetime." Wang Lin stood silently for a long time, then flicked his sleeves, knelt down on the star compass, and backed towards the place where Sichuan had disappeared. "In this life, I, Wang Lin, do not worship heaven and earth, nor revere ghosts and gods. Only my parents, only Sichuan." Wang Lin stood up, suppressing the sorrow in his heart. The star compass beneath his feet flashed, and he flew away into the distance. His path and Sichuan's, one east and one west, grew further and further apart. After Wang Lin left, a white light flashed where they parted. Sichuan's figure stood on the white light, looking at Wang Lin and sighing softly. Without brutal tempering, one cannot become a true cultivator. "Wang Lin, I brought you into the demonic path back then because the demonic path is most suited to the principle of survival. After you split yourself off from the demonic path and followed your own way, I couldn't stay by your side because you said we were different, that I am a demon inside and out." Sichuan glanced intently at the spot where Wang Lin had disappeared, muttering to himself, "Little friend." "Goodbye," he sighed and vanished along with the white light. The starry sky was vast. Without a star map, getting lost in this unpredictable space was not impossible. The star map indicated the location of the Heavenly Fortune Star, a map that Heavenly Fortune Master had once given Wang Lin. This map was extremely detailed, clearly showing the route from the Vermilion Bird Star to the Heavenly Fortune Star. Wang Lin sat cross-legged on the star compass, flying swiftly. Along the way, he didn't idle, using the Kunmu stone and Mozu liquid according to the ancient gods' inherited refining method to refine the star compass. Although his speed wasn't fast, the refining process continued uninterrupted. The star compass was now enveloped in a blue aura. Within the aura, a strange object resembling a withered tree could be faintly seen, its branches densely intertwining around the star compass. This peculiar object was formed from the evolution of the Kunmu stone. This process lasted 3 months. 3 months was only enough time for the fusion of the star compass and the Kunmu stone to achieve a small degree of success. Ancient gods refining treasures always required a very long time. For ancient gods, time was irrelevant. Each refining process often lasted 100 years. Even the 9-star ancient god, once refining a treasure, 1,000 years would pass in the blink of an eye. Wang Lin calculated the time. If things continued like this, he feared that by the time he reached the Heavenly Fortune Star, the star compass would still be incomplete. After some contemplation, he skipped the fusion process, adding the remaining success to the ink snow liquid, and proceeded with the final refining process. Months passed in the blink of an eye. One day, a streak of silver light flashed across the starry sky. This streak of silver light resembled a white dragon, its elongated shape making its speed unstoppable, sweeping through like a raging torrent. Above the streak of silver light stood a figure. His long hair fluttered in the wind, his deep eyes filled with profound depth. His face was sculpted, his features distinct, and the white robe he wore rustled as if being swept by a raging storm. His skin was slightly tanned, but it exuded an air of majestic strength and vitality. He was Wang Lin. His journey through the starry sky towards the heavenly fortune star had lasted more than half a year. During this half year, Wang Lin had undergone tremendous changes. His skin was no longer as fair as it was on Vermilion Bird Star, but had turned slightly dark, caused by some strange power within the starry sky. The silver dragon at his feet was the star compass, refined through a process. Using the memories of the ancient god Tut to create the star compass, transforming its form with Kunmu stone, and thoroughly integrating it with Moziyi, it achieved a miraculous transformation. The form of this silver dragon was that of an ancient beast called the Autumn Crane, as remembered by the ancient god Tut. Its speed was unparalleled. While its speed couldn't compare to real beasts, it could still be elevated to an unbelievable level. Based on the memories of the ancient god Tut, the star compass truly needed the blood of this autumn crane as a conduit to unleash its maximum speed. At this moment, the speed of the silver dragon beneath Wang Lin's feet was almost on par with that of a peak-level cultivator. In the starry sky, the silver light flashed, flying towards the distance and disappearing completely. Time flew by. Another half-year passed. Wang Lin had been flying alone in the starry sky for a year. Along the way, Wang Lin saw many strange nebulae. At first, he focused on examining them, but eventually, he mostly just glanced at them. The distance to the heavenly fortune star was getting closer and closer. Based on the star map in his mind, Wang Lin calculated that he had now traveled nearly half the distance. Along the way, Wang Lin saw many planets. Some of these planets were inhabited by cultivators, others were desolate and uninhabited, and some were extremely harsh, emanating waves of ferocity and an arrogant, sky-high aura. In addition, Wang Lin learned that there was another type of people in the starry sky, the despised cultivators. These people are called border cultivators. These cultivators are scattered throughout the starry sky every year, each possessing considerable skill, and they plunder everything they encounter. Wang Lin encountered several of them along the way. However, these individuals, recognizing Wang Lin's immense skill and experience, dared not approach him. But there was one blind border cultivator, also in the early stages of the nascent soul realm, who, after a battle with Wang Lin, was severely wounded and fled. In the starry sky, the weak cannot survive. After fighting that border cultivator, Wang Lin did not restrain his aura but unleashed it completely, especially the overwhelming killing intent of his true form. This killing intent formed a massive energy field. Wherever it passed, it felt like a cold wind was blowing, making it terrifying to behold. Since then, the border cultivators, upon seeing him, would immediately avoid him, not daring to provoke him casually. Thus, Wang Lin flew straight ahead, like an ancient beast descending from the heavens. Time passed, and another year went by in the blink of an eye. At this moment, Wang Lin stood on the silver dragon, and before him could see a star field covered in a pale blue mist. There, a huge, dark purple planet shone brightly in all directions, looking like glass, dazzling to the eye. Around this enormous planet were 5 smaller planets, orbiting the large one. Further out, even more smaller planets were scattered around, emitting waves of spiritual power, clearly indicating the presence of forbidden formations. Wang Lin gazed at the dark purple planet, a glint of excitement in his eyes. This was the final point in the star map left behind by Tai Yunzi all those years ago, the Tai Yun star. At this moment, in Wang Lin's eyes, the heavenly fortune star was too vast. The Vermilion Bird star was truly insignificant compared to it. Moreover, even from his current location, he could feel the dense spiritual energy emanating from the heavenly fortune star. If he were to actually set foot on the heavenly fortune star, the intensity of the spiritual energy would undoubtedly be unimaginable, far surpassing that of the Vermilion Bird star. Years ago, Heavenly Fortune Master had said that the Vermilion Bird star was practically a worthless planet, and at this moment, Wang Lin believed it without a doubt. Looking at the heavenly fortune star, Wang Lin's mind was shaken like a raging tidal wave. This scene was similar to when he was still uncultivated, leaving his mountain village for the first time to go to the town. Silently gazing at the heavenly fortune star in the distance, Wang Lin's heart surged with excitement, his eyes gleaming with a strange light as he quietly murmured to himself, "Heavenly fortune star, I, Wang Lin, they am coming." Wang Lin took a deep breath, but instead of advancing, he took a step back. His entire body, along with the silver dragon, transformed into a silver light, roaring as he retreated. After 3 days, he arrived at a small, desolate star. There, Wang Lin's body flicked, and his clone and main body separated. Without a word, his main body transformed into a black mist, leaping straight onto the small star, piercing through the atmosphere and ascending to the ground where he sat cross-legged, meditating. There were many powerful experts on Heavenly Fortune Star. Someone might recognize his main body as the body of an ancient god. To be on the safe side, Wang Lin left his main body behind and then turned to fly towards Heavenly Fortune Star. Heavenly Fortune Star was surrounded by a green mist. This mist was not dense, but dispersed, making it look from afar as if Heavenly Fortune Star was covered by a green curtain. Within the azure mist, numerous bright points, like stars, flickered and shone alternately. In the center of the dark purple Heavenly Fortune Star, boundless spiritual power continuously diffused, causing the mist to surge and churn violently like boiling water, creating an unexpectedly bizarre scene. Wang Lin stopped outside the mist, his eyes flickering as he stared intently at the fog, a sense of danger naturally rising within him. This mist contains a destructive energy fluctuation. If I carelessly intrude, I will surely be attacked. He didn't know what level of cultivation planet Heavenly Fortune Star was, yet it possessed such a powerful mist formation. Furthermore, the 4 smaller planets surrounding it each had their own unique formations, not to mention the even smaller planets in the vicinity. While Wang Lin was contemplating, his eyes suddenly flashed, and he instantly retreated 100 feet, focusing his gaze into the mist. He saw that the mist in front of him seemed to be stirred by an invisible hand, splitting into from the center and dispersing to either side. At the same time, a young man in a black silk robe calmly flew out from within. This man had an ordinary appearance, his eyes calm, and he glanced at Wang Lin before calmly saying, "Do you have a message?" His tone was calm, his gaze composed, and his overall appearance somewhat unsightly. Above all, a strange aura of arrogance emanated from his eyes, even more so than the pride in his demeanor. His arrogance didn't need to be displayed, it was truly ingrained in his very bones. Wang Lin glanced at the man, shook his head, and said, "No?" The young man's expression remained unchanged, and he said, "Were you invited?" Wang Lin pondered for a moment, then shook his head again. The young man looked at Wang Lin and slowly said, "No message, no invitation. Please leave." After saying that, he turned and walked into the mist. Behind him, the mist gradually closed. "The one who invited me was Senior Che Yunzi." Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he slowly said. The young man stopped, turned around, and looked at Wang Lin, his gaze becoming strange. After a while, he suddenly said, "Are you from Vermilion Bird Star?" Wang Lin was startled, glanced at the man, and nodded. The young man's lips curved into a strange smile, and he raised his right hand. The surrounding mist immediately swirled violently, like the intertwined tentacles of a dragon, creating a series of howling, wine-tearing roars, and immediately rushed towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes were calm as he retracted the silver dragon star compass and stepped forward. In an instant, the dragon's tentacles rushed towards Wang Lin, immediately merging together in front of him. Where he had just stepped, a long green sword suddenly appeared. Wang Lin stepped onto the hilt of the sword. "Thank you," Wang Lin said, his expression unchanged, bowing in gratitude. The young man's gaze became even stranger as he looked at Wang Lin, then his eyes fell on the sword at Wang Lin's feet. He clasped his hands together and said, "Come in, Senior Che Yunzi has been waiting for you for a long time." After he finished speaking, the green mist immediately dispersed, forming a very long passage leading deep inside. Wang Lin's body moved slightly, and the sword at his feet flashed, carrying Wang Lin towards the distant Che Yun star. As he flew, Wang Lin's eyes showed a pensive expression. This person knew I came from the Vermilion Bird Star, and even said that Senior Che Yunzi had been waiting for me for a long time. Could it be that Senior Che Yunzi possessed divine abilities and calculated my arrival? If so, his abilities could be said to be extraordinary. While Wang Lin pondered, the sword beneath his feet transformed into a rainbow, flying towards Che Yun star. Soon, Che Yun star in Wang Lin's eyes grew larger and closer, his entire body transforming into a beam of green light as he pierced through the void and entered Che Yun star. A strong wind, like a sharp blade, swept against his face. However, the sword beneath Wang Lin's feet also emitted gentle green light, keeping the strong wind at a certain level. Enveloped in green light, Wang Lin flashed through the wind and entered Taiyuan Star. In midair, Wang Lin looked down. The entire ground was covered in a purple plant with large leaves that swayed in the wind, creating a rustling sound. A strange feeling welled up in Wang Lin's heart. He sighed softly. A flash of light appeared beneath his feet, and he flew away into the distance. The long sword formed from the green mist was not under Wang Lin's control, but flew away on its own, carrying him rapidly. The distance to the Heavenly Fortune sect was not far. After only 3 incense sticks worth of time, the Heavenly Fortune sect appeared before Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes flickered, and he jumped down from the sword, landing on the ground. The sword suddenly flashed and disappeared. The Heavenly Fortune sect was located in the middle of a desolate wasteland east of the Heavenly Fortune Star. The 10,000 great mountains were densely covered, shrouded in clouds and mist, appearing from afar like a veil, obscuring its face. A massive palace floated in midair, silently radiating a gentle golden light. Below the palace were a series of stone blocks forming a series of floating, winding steps that descended directly into the large mountain below. This was the outer gate of the Heavenly Fortune sect. At this moment, streaks of sword light continuously flew back and forth from the Heavenly Fortune Star, creating an extremely bustling scene. Wang Lin stood outside the 10,000 great mountains, gazing at the floating palace in the distance, remaining silent for a long time. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. His entire body transformed into a white light, flashing and soaring rapidly forward. Not long after, Wang Lin arrived above a large mountain. As he was descending, his expression suddenly changed. His body stopped, and he hovered in midair, looking into the distance. The one approaching, stop! A gentle voice drifted from afar through the void. The voice was so soft, devoid of any anger, that it was impossible to discern whether it belonged to a man or a woman. Wang Lin respectfully clasped his hands and said in a clear voice, Wang Lin has come from the Vermilion Bird Star to pay his respects to Senior Taiyuan. Wang Lin, the Venerable One, is aware of your arrival. However, to join our Taiyuan sect, even ordinary disciples must pass the 3 gates ceremony. Do you accept? Wang Lin's expression was serious. Instead of directly answering, he asked, what are the 3 gates? The first gate is the human gate, which tests your Tao heart. The second is the earth gate, which tests your abilities. The third is the heaven gate, which tests your understanding. Only by passing these 3 gates will you be qualified to become a disciple of the Taiyuan sect. Do you dare? The voice remained calm and composed throughout, slowly drifting forward without a hint of anger. As soon as the words were spoken, tens of thousands of rays of starlight flashed from the surrounding void, quickly converging into an oval-shaped circle of light. This circle of light flew in front of Wang Lin. Wang Lin smiled and calmly said, what's there to be afraid of? After saying that, he stepped forward, directly entering the circle of light. Above a large mountain within the Heavenly Fortune sect stood a Bodhi tree. Its canopy was enormous, resembling a giant umbrella from afar, inspiring a sense of reverence. At this moment, 3 people were standing beneath the tree. The person in front was an old man with a benevolent face and flowing white hair, yet he didn't look particularly old. On the contrary, his eyes seemed brighter than those of some young men. His eyebrows, like 2 white dragons, hung down from the corners of his eyes, swaying gently in the breeze. His gaze was distant, revealing a profound depth. 2 people stood respectfully behind him. At first glance, the 2 appeared to be around 30 years old. One had a cheerful, gentle demeanor, while the other stood motionless with a stern expression and cold eyes. Master, this person is merely a registered disciple. Why does he need to pass 3 entrance examinations? The gentle-looking man glanced at the old man before him and whispered. The old man's eyes flashed like lightning as he gazed into the distance. After a moment, he slowly said, this is the person I took a liking to years ago, the one I intended to take in. To reach such a level of skill after several hundred years is truly remarkable. The gentle-looking man smiled and said, to be able to catch the eye of the esteemed master is his good fortune. If he passes the 3 examinations, bring him to the Purple Cloud Pavilion. The old man glanced into the distance, his body moved slightly, and he stepped forward, disappearing from the spot. The kind-looking man and the young man with the icy expression simultaneously obeyed, bowing respectfully as they saw the old man off. Xian Pavilion interesting. The young man with the icy expression sneered. Brother Chu, why is it interesting? The kind-looking man turned to look at the young man surnamed Chu. Senior brother, are you testing me? Zihui Pavilion isn't a place for ordinary registered disciples. You're in Zishan Pavilion. I'm in Zimang Pavilion, both places only true disciples of our master can stay. I'm afraid it won't be long before the former Xian Pavilion is renamed Zilan Pavilion, the young man surnamed Chu said coldly. The kind-looking man smiled and said, this Wang Lin is truly talented. It's only reasonable that he could make our master take him as a disciple. Isn't it a joyous occasion that we have another brother? Senior brother, you shouldn't think one thing and say another. The young man surnamed Chu snorted softly, flicked his sleeve, and turned to leave. At this moment, only the gentle young man remained. He calmly looked into the distance, his eyes revealing a look of bewilderment, and softly muttered, the Yun Pavilion Master's arrangements are truly interesting, junior brother Sun Yun. It seems Master's feelings for you are completely gone. Meanwhile, after stepping into the circle of light, Wang Lin found himself in a vast expanse of white. This place seemed boundless, as if it existed in the void. Standing there, an involuntary feeling of loneliness welled up in his heart. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and the feeling of loneliness was instantly swept away. Very interesting. I didn't expect this to cause such a change in my mindset. Wang Lin looked around, his divine consciousness sweeping frantically in all directions. With his nascent soul-stage divine consciousness sweeping across, the area spanning tens of thousands of miles was instantly clearly visible. The first gate, testing the Tao heart. Wang Lin pondered for a while. Just then, a blurry figure suddenly appeared in the distance, walking towards Wang Lin step by step. Wang Lin focused his gaze, his body motionless. The figure gradually approached, revealing a beautiful face. She was Li Muan. Li Muan looked at Wang Lin, a joyful smile playing on her lips moving slightly as she softly whispered something, but Wang Lin couldn't hear a word. After a while, Li Muan's face showed worrying, and she took a few more steps forward. Wang Lin looked at Li Muan and lowered his voice. This is the first gate. Indeed, the transformation of the Tao heart, but this. Wang Lin sighed softly, stepping forward, his entire body transforming into a white light, directly arriving beside Li Muan. He wrapped his arm around Li Muan's waist and smiled, saying, Tao heart, Tao heart. Li Muan's lips curved into a smile, and she and Wang Lin gradually disappeared. Under the Bodhi tree inside the Heavenly Fortune sect, the gentle-faced young man let out a soft gasp, his eyes revealing a strange expression. If Master didn't misjudge him, then this person is truly wise. Ordinary people entering this first gate would have two reactions, either calmly avoiding it or forcibly dispelling it. This person is truly interesting. Unexpectedly, he's stepping forward to seek the Tao. Interesting, this person's method is exactly the same as junior brother Sun Yun's back then. However, junior brother Sun Yun persevered for 67 days. I wonder how many days Wang Lin will be able to persevere. The gentle-looking young man stroked his chin, a mysterious smile playing on his lips. His eyes remained calm, yet a strange glint appeared within them. The three entrance gates of the Heavenly Fortune sect were personally set up by Heavenly Fortune Master, who shattered the void to create these three gates. Passing these three gates would qualify one to become a disciple of the Heavenly Fortune sect. This was an unbreakable rule, one that no one could change. At this moment, within the human gate, a hazy curtain like a desert covered the sky and earth. Deep within lay a place resembling a celestial paradise. Birds chirped, willows cast shadows, and occasionally dogs barked. But this did not disturb the tranquility, like a gentle awakening from a slumber, each sound echoing slowly. This idyllic place is a mountain village. Although there aren't many people in the village, they've lived together harmoniously for generations. The third house in the north of the village is a solitary dwelling, simple yet incredibly comfortable to look at. A few golden-flowered wildflowers adorn the entrance, adding a touch of spring color. In the courtyard, a pile of dry firewood is neatly stacked like a small mountain, surrounded by several wooden chairs. A wooden table sits beside it, with a teapot and teacups. At this moment, an old man with a face full of wrinkles sits on a chair, enjoying tea. Though his hair is white, he doesn't look old at all. After taking a sip of tea, he looks up into the house. There, a young boy is holding a small carving knife, bending down to carve a piece of redwood. The old man's eyes revealed a gentle, smiling expression as he looked at the other boy, his demeanor extremely serene. A short while later, The boy wrinkled his nose, looked up into the old man's eyes, and immediately ran a few steps to his side, his childish voice saying, "Who are you?" The old man put down his teacup, patted the boy's head, and smiled. "You tell me who I am." "And I am that person." The boy was about to speak when a serious voice suddenly came from inside the house. "Little tiger, stop pestering your grandfather. Get back to carving." Following this voice, a middle-aged man lifted the curtain and came out of the house. The boy didn't turn around but took a deep breath, stared at the old man for a moment, then turned back inside and continued carving. But his eyes also revealed a look of extreme doubt. The man glared at the boy, then walked over to the old man, sat down beside him, and offered him a cup of hot tea, saying, "Father, I want to go up the mountain." The old man, still kind, looked at the boy, and after hearing the middle-aged man's words, nodded slightly, then said nothing more. "What are you going up the mountain for?" A woman's voice came from outside the main door. A white-haired old woman carrying a basket of green vegetables entered the house. The middle-aged man quickly stood up, went to take the vegetables, and said, "Mother, I heard from Anu in the eastern village that the nearest mountain is not safe. There are tigers there. Let's find a few people to go and check it out. If we're lucky, we might find a large tiger skin to make a coat." The old woman opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but finally glanced at the old man who was still looking at his grandson, sighed, and shook her head without speaking. Day after day, the middle-aged man, after leaving, never returned. The old lady, heartbroken, waited anxiously day and night. Finally, she received an incomplete corpse, and overwhelmed with grief, she fainted and never woke up again. In the courtyard, only the old man and his grandson remained. The boy diligently sculpted, while the old man watched intently from the side. "Have you finished sculpting?" the old man asked softly one day. "No, this statue is very difficult. No matter what I do, I can't finish it." The boy calmly looked up at the old man and replied. "How many times has this happened?" The old man remained silent for a moment, then spoke softly. The boy looked up at the old man and calmly said, "The 83rd time. The next one isn't far off." "Still not finished," the old man sighed. The boy looked up at the sky, then after a moment shook his head and said, "Why must it end? Life is so good like this, except I don't even know who you are. Reincarnation is indefinite. Every event that occurs is fixed and changing. You know that those who leave will not return. You have experienced countless such things, yet you still cannot see through it. What exactly are you doing?" The old man held the teacup to his lips, but did not drink. His gaze fell upon the wooden sculpture in his hand, and after a long while, he lowered his voice and said, "It should end now under the Bodhi tree inside the Heavenly Fortune sect." The gentle-looking young man now wore an extremely serious expression. He stared into the distance, a gloomy look in his eyes. 83 days. This person is no ordinary street urchin. Back then, junior brother Sun Yun only persevered for 67 days. The 3 entrance trials are said to be tests, but in reality, even with sufficient cultivation qualities, one must have a great opportunity. These 3 trials, which a person only experiences once in a lifetime, were meticulously arranged by our esteemed master. This Wang Lin unexpectedly managed to stay in the first trial for 83 days. This person cannot be allowed to remain. His expression grew even more somber, his eyes gleaming with incomprehension. After a while, he formed hand seals, and streams of 7-colored light continuously flashed from his hands, emitting a dazzling array of colors. "Future junior brother, let your senior brother assist you." Having said this, he pointed his hands forward, and the 7-colored light immediately shot out from his hands, disappearing into the void. Inside the human gate, the young man continued carving with his head bowed. Suddenly, he looked up into the distance, only to see a stream of 7-colored light suddenly appear in the air, radiating a brilliant glow. This glow was incredibly powerful. Wherever it shone, it felt as if ice and snow had been placed on a scorching hot iron, and the birdsong of this celestial paradise instantly vanished. The fragrance of flowers no longer permeated the air. The houses in the mountain village instantly vanished, transforming into swirling white mist that dispersed in all directions, gradually becoming fainter and more indistinct. Each house, illuminated by the radiant light, disappeared completely. Finally, only the 3rd house to the north remained. A strange expression appeared in the pupil of his eye as he stared intently at the seven-colored light. He swung the carving knife in his hand, unleashing a dazzling silver beam of light directly at the seven-colored light. A deafening roar suddenly erupted from the sky, shattering the surrounding haze. The seven-colored light flickered like a candle flame in the wind, instantly becoming erratic. But then, this seven-colored light suddenly flashed in a bizarre way, unexpectedly merging together to form a pair of bright eyes in the sky, seemingly piercing through space and looking up at the young boy. Immediately inside the house, the pile of dry firewood, stacked like a small mountain, began to fly up. The boy's hands moved swiftly, and streaks of silver light appeared, causing a large amount of dry firewood to fall. In an instant, these pieces of wood took shape, unexpectedly transforming into houses and sculptures of neighbors. With a forceful wave of his hands, these wooden sculptures spontaneously burst into flames, emitting bursts of eerie light. This eerie light, like a raging fire, flared up wildly, finally spreading in all directions. The villagers, houses, birdsong, and the scent of flowers that had been there before were instantly restored to their original state, transforming the place into a paradise. No matter who you are, get out of here immediately, the young man said calmly, his voice soft but filled with murderous intent. The two eyes in the air stared at the young man for a moment before slowly disappearing. Beneath the Bodhi tree in the Heavenly Fortune sect, the gentle-looking young man's eyes suddenly flashed, and he muttered, "So that's it. This person cultivates the path of reincarnation. No wonder he could persevere for 83 days. Each day he reincarnates, thus increasing his understanding of reincarnation." In the back courtyard of the human gate, the old man sighed softly, stood up, looked at the young man, and lowered his voice. "The 84th attempt is about to begin. Do you really still want to continue?" The young man lowered his head, looking at the 83rd wooden sculpture in his hand, which he still couldn't complete. This sculpture depicted a woman. Let's continue. This is the pursuit of the Tao and also the true meaning of the gate of humanity. Deep within the Heavenly Fortune sect, in the center of a black altar, Heavenly Fortune Master sat cross-legged, meditating with his eyes closed. Suddenly, he opened his eyes, a satisfied smile playing on his lips, and lowered his voice, saying, "This person is truly remarkable." 10 days later, a person emerged from the celestial realm within the gate of humanity. When this person first stepped out, their body was still that of a young boy, but after 2 steps, they transformed into a youth, and after 3 steps, their entire being quickly became a young man. This young man, with his long, windless hair, dressed in snow-white robes, walked out of the celestial realm step by step. In his hand, he held a wooden sculpture, finally completed. It was a beautiful, gentle woman, resembling a fairy. A radiant smile played on her lips, and her eyes shone with joy. This young man was Wang Lin. Without 100 years of reincarnation, how can one attain enlightenment? Without 1,000 years of cultivation, how can one comprehend the Tao? This human realm is truly fascinating. Wang Lin's gaze was calm. At this moment, his entire being had undergone a strange transformation compared to before entering this place. However, this transformation was very well concealed, making it difficult to detect. But his eyes were even brighter than before, like stars in the sky. Wang Lin took another step, his entire being disappearing into the void, leaving the human realm. The Earth Branch Pass tests cultivation. You've prepared well, but do you dare to enter? What's there to be afraid of? Wang Lin smiled and raised his head. The Earth Branch Pass was a world filled with red flames, each flame erupting from cracks in the ground straight up into the sky. Wang Lin stood there, looking around, his expression unchanged. I wonder what method of cultivation test will be used here. Wang Lin leisurely walked forward, his eyes showing a thoughtful expression. From a crack not far away, a towering flame suddenly erupted, dissolving in the air and transforming into a red figure. This person's red hair moved without wind, fluttering like countless tentacles. His arms were crossed in front of his chest, his originally chaotic face instantly displaying to eerie, dark lights. I am the 10th guardian immortal of the Earth Branch Pass. Only by defeating me can you proceed. A cold, icy voice emanated from the fiery figure. Wang Lin calmly looked at his opponent, without saying a word, his body lunging forward. Simultaneously, his hands formed a series of hand seals, one in front and one behind, like the Tai Chi returning to its origin, suddenly trembling as they reached forward. "Break," Wang Lin murmured, his entire body flashing with powerful light. The fiery red figure's eyes, previously dim, suddenly brightened. He abruptly retreated, abandoning his clasped hands and lunging forward. A deafening explosion resounded, a sandstorm erupting in all directions, the ground cracking into fissures. The frenzied blast spread in all directions. The fiery red figure recoiled violently, blood trickling from his hands. He retreated more than 10 meters before stopping, raising his head to stare at Wang Lin. Wang Lin paused, lowered his hands, and calmly looked at the figure before him, saying softly, "Step back." The fiery figure remained silent for a moment, then bowed to Wang Lin. With a flash, he transformed into streaks of smoke and fire, disappearing into a crack in the ground. Wang Lin calmly looked into the distance. Somewhere else, a similar being was testing the cultivation of those entering the trial. The 3 trials of the Heavenly Fortune sect have outsiders visiting today. Wang Lin smiled enigmatically, not advancing but turning to leave. "I'll skip the Earth Branch trial." With those words, Wang Lin's figure vanished within the Earth Branch trial. Under the Bodhi tree within the Heavenly Fortune sect, the gentle-looking young man frowned, his eyes flashing with incomprehension. This person's decision to skip is quite decisive. It's a pity I can't use this opportunity to assess his abilities. However, he's only at the early stage of the nascent soul transformation realm. Even using this divine ability again would be more than enough. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, his eyebrows relaxed, and a gentle expression returned. Without turning around, he softly said, "Third junior brother, it's been many days since we last met. How are things with senior brother's concern for me?" "Of course everything is going smoothly," a gentle voice came from afar. At the same time, a young man in white robes walked towards the distant sky, reaching the isolated mountain in a few steps. This person was none other than Bai Wei, whom Wang Lin had met once on the trading star. The gentle young man turned around, smiled at Bai Wei, and said, "Third junior brother, have you offered your gifts to master yet?" Bai Wei casually glanced at the distant sky, smiling. "The gifts I prepared are merely a token of my sincerity. How can they compare to senior brother's?" Suddenly, Bai Wei's gaze froze, staring intently into the void, a strange expression appearing in his eyes. The gentle young man said thoughtfully, "This person is a registered disciple of our master on Vermilion Bird Star. He arrived here a few months ago and is undergoing 3 trials. He's already reached the 3rd one." "It's him." Bai Wei's eyes flashed, and he nodded, saying, "So that's it. Our master has arranged for him to stay at the Purple Cloud Pavilion." The gentle young man said casually, "Purple Cloud Pavilion." The strange look in Bai Wei's eyes vanished, replaced by icy coldness. After a moment of silence, he slowly said, "Senior brother, I have other matters to attend to and can't talk much longer. Give me one of your 5 3,000-year-old leaf-shaped herbs, and I'll exchange it for a flame essence." "Is that all right?" The gentle young man chuckled, nodded, and said, "That's fine. Come to my cave dwelling, and I'll have a servant lead you there." Bai Wei clasped his hands, glanced into the depths of the void, and with a flash, disappeared. The gentle young man stroked his chin, his eyes showing a look of weariness, and muttered, "What exactly was Master's intention in arranging for this person to enter the Purple Cloud Pavilion? If not, I fear this person would have an even easier time within the sect. Now, this arrangement has essentially put this person in the line of fire. What the Heavenly Gate tests is the realm of consciousness." At this moment, inside the Heavenly Gate, Wang Lin was sitting cross-legged, silently contemplating. After bypassing the earthly gate, he entered this place, undergoing the final test, and had been meditating here for 30 days. During these 30 days, Wang Lin constantly pondered what mysteries lay within this gate. Here, his realm of consciousness could approach the Heavenly Tao infinitely. The distance to the Heavenly Tao seemed as if it were within reach, a mere hand's breadth. After spending so long inside this gate, Wang Lin had almost forgotten the concept of time. He remained seated in meditation, motionless, his realm of consciousness not having been released since he entered. Wang Lin was not in a hurry. Through meditation, he vaguely felt he had touched something. Combining his experiences from the human gate and the earthly gate, the word Tao slowly emerged within Wang Lin's primordial spirit. One day, after 51 days in the Heavenly Gate, Wang Lin opened his eyes, awakening from his meditation. His eyes were devoid of light, yet strange, flickering rays constantly flickered within them. He stood there lost in thought for a while, a faint smile playing on his lips. The three gates of man, earth, and heaven, it turns out, are not trials but rather opportunities. Understanding is understanding. Enlightenment is enlightenment. So that's how it is. Wang Lin stretched out his arms, stood up, looked around, and said with a smile, "I'll skip the gate of heaven." As soon as he spoke, the surroundings suddenly flickered, spinning wildly around Wang Lin, rapidly moving, and finally, with a tremor, all matter around him vanished. Wang Lin remained standing on the 10,000 great mountains outside the Heavenly Fortune sect, and before him stood a man. This man wore a purple robe, had a gentle expression, and smiled at Wang Lin. "Brother Wang Lin, I am Zhao Crossingshaw, the earliest among Master's disciples with the character Z in their ranks. You should call me senior brother." Wang Lin glanced at the man, then clasped his hands and said, "Wang Lin greets senior brother." Zhao Crossingshaw smiled, extended his hand, and said, "Junior brother Wang Lin, follow me. Our master has made arrangements. You should stay in the Purple Cloud Pavilion for now." After saying this, Zhao Crossingshaw moved slightly, leading the way. Wang Lin took a step forward and followed. The two transformed into two streaks of rainbow light and flew deep into the 10,000 great mountains. While flying, Zhao Crossingshaw gave a relatively detailed introduction to the Heavenly Fortune sect. This man's speaking style was quite interesting. His words often had a clear point, making Wang Lin begin to have a good impression of the Heavenly Fortune sect. "Senior brother Zhao, I wonder how many disciples Senior Heavenly Fortune Master has?" Wang Lin asked. Zhao Crossingshaw smiled, his right hand forming a hand seal, pointing forward. The clouds in front suddenly dispersed, revealing a passage. As he flew in, he laughed and said, "Junior brother, throughout his life, our master has accepted 7 types of disciples, divided into red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. You and I are disciples of the same generation." Purple lineage. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. Zhao Xingsha sighed softly, saying, "Among the 7 types of disciples, our purple lineage is the weakest in terms of strength. You will understand this yourself when you have time. I don't want to say much more." After flying for a while, passing through the 10,000 great mountains, a towering mountain shrouded in mist appeared before them. On top of it stood an extremely luxurious tower, with dense purple light radiating in all directions, forming a purple halo. The surrounding mountains and trees were illuminated in a purple hue. This place seemed like the source of that purple energy, causing anyone who saw it to feel a shock to their mind. "Junior brother Wang Lin, follow me." Zhao Xingsha moved slightly, charging straight up the mountain, Wang Lin following closely behind. At the foot of the tower atop the mountain, countless disciples of the Heavenly Fortune sect were sitting and meditating, a sight that suggested no fewer than tens of thousands. Behind the mountain were numerous pavilions, each filled with disciples either preaching, practicing magic, or sitting cross-legged in meditation. A quick glance around revealed that the number of disciples here was no less than 100,000. This mountain was truly enormous, especially the endless expanse behind it, resembling a giant dragon lying down, causing anyone who saw it to involuntarily lose themselves, their entire being immersed in the sect's atmosphere. "This is the mountain gate of our Heavenly Fortune sect. Junior brother Wang Lin, heading west is the Purple Cloud Pavilion. You can see it with your divine sense. I have important matters to attend to and cannot continue with you," Zhao Xingsha said with a smile, cupping his hands in respect. Wang Lin nodded, cupped his hands in return, and his figure, like lightning, flew westward. Zhao Crossingsha's expression remained gentle and unchanged, only a strange glint suddenly flashed in his eyes. As he flew, Wang Lin inwardly snorted. When he first saw Zhao Crossingshaw, he recognized him as the one who emitted the 7-colored light he had encountered in the human realm. But Wang Lin was shrewd and didn't reveal any weaknesses along the way. After a while, Wang Lin's divine sense swept across the area, spotting a pavilion emitting a faint purple light ahead, bearing 3 large characters. Purple Cloud Pavilion. This Heavenly Fortune sect was truly enormous. If the Purple Cloud Pavilion alone was this large, what were the other 6 sects like? And then there was the main sect of the Heavenly Fortune sect. It would surely be unimaginable. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and his body moved like lightning, descending outside the Purple Cloud Pavilion. As soon as he landed, he raised his eyebrows and looked inside. He saw a woman emerge from the Purple Cloud Pavilion. She was dressed in purple, adorned with many small yellow flowers, her face beautiful, but now filled with murderous intent as she glared at Wang Lin. "You cannot stay here." Wang Lin looked at the woman and calmly asked, "Why?" The woman's murderous intent intensified and she said coldly, "I don't know why." "You can stay anywhere, but not here." Wang Lin's eyes flashed as he looked at the purple cloud pavilion behind the woman. After a moment of silence, he turned and took a few steps back, crossed his legs, and sat down, closing his eyes to meditate. Having just arrived on Heavenly Fortune Star, Wang Lin didn't want to cause trouble. There was truly no need to make enemies over a place to stay. Moreover, the situation here was somewhat complicated. Wang Lin secretly pondered, fearing that everything was closely related to the Purple Cloud Pavilion. The woman watched Wang Lin sit down, raised her eyebrows, and said coldly, "This place is off limits. You are not allowed to enter within 100 miles of the Purple Cloud Pavilion. Leave now." Wang Lin abruptly raised his head, a hint of killing intent flashing in his eyes as he stared at the woman. Her abilities were only at the early stage of the nascent soul realm. Wang Lin didn't need to pay any attention to her. The woman didn't blink, staring back at Wang Lin. After a while, Wang Lin withdrew his gaze, stood up, and walked away. It wasn't until his figure disappeared from the woman's sight that a gust of wind blew past, and she suddenly realized her back was drenched in sweat. She bit her lip, her gaze lowered, and walked out of the Purple Cloud Pavilion. Sitting to one side, she stared blankly at the sky, lowering her voice as she said, "Senior brother Sun Yun, as long as I am here, I will not allow anyone to replace you." No one at all. 100 miles outside the Purple Cloud Pavilion, there was a cliff with a very beautiful landscape. Wang Lin raised his right hand, and a sword light shot out from his storage bag like lightning, piercing the cliff. Soon after, it created a cave dwelling. Wang Lin retracted his flying sword and entered inside. After setting up several restrictions, he sat down cross-legged and took a deep breath. Deep thought appeared in his eyes. The atmosphere in this Heavenly Fortune sect is a bit unusual. I haven't completely passed the 3 entrance trials. Yet Zhao Sha Crossing calls me junior brother and says that the Heavenly Fortune sect has arranged for me to stay in the Purple Cloud Pavilion. Currently, the Purple Cloud Pavilion is guarded, preventing anyone from approaching. All of this is shrouded in fog, unclear and indistinct. We need to find a way to investigate past events, especially those concerning the Purple Cloud Pavilion. Late at night, the Purple sect within the Heavenly Fortune sect was eerily quiet. Except for a few disciples on guard duty, the vast majority were gathered in meditation. In the pitch-black night, Wang Lin opened his eyes, his body flashing as he emerged from his cave dwelling. His gaze swept around, and with a stomp of his foot, he transformed into a wisp of black smoke and vanished. The Purple Cloud Pavilion stood silently in the distance, like a sleeping beast. At that moment, a wisp of black smoke drifted in and entered the Purple Cloud Pavilion. The Purple Cloud Pavilion had 3 floors, and Wang Lin's figure appeared on the first floor. The furnishings were extremely simple, yet not vulgar. On the contrary, they possessed a fresh and vibrant feel. After surveying everything, Wang Lin ascended to the 2nd floor. There was a bed and several cushions, a landscape painting hung on the wall, and an ancient sword rested beside it. Everything was perfectly normal, nothing out of the ordinary. The 3rd floor was a secret chamber, obviously a place for meditation. Wang Lin looked up. There was nothing obstructing his view, and he could see the stars at a glance. From inside to out, Wang Lin couldn't find any clues. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, Wang Lin had been trapped in the Purple sect of the Heavenly Fortune sect for half a month. During this half month, no one came to find him. Even the ordinary disciples here looked strange when they saw Wang Lin, hastily avoiding him as if he were a plague. Heavenly Fortune Master never summoned him, as if he had forgotten about him. No one within a 10-mile radius of the cave he created had entered it anymore, as if it had been avoided. For half a month, no one spoke a word to Wang Lin, and Zhao Crossing Shao seemed to have vanished, never reappearing. The only exception was outside the Purple Cloud Pavilion. Every sunrise, the woman would appear, staring blankly at the pavilion. This went on day after day for half a month without interruption. If it continued like this, Wang Lin wouldn't have paid any attention. Cultivating in seclusion without disturbance was quite peaceful. But on the 17th day, afternoon, As Wang Lin sat cross-legged in his cave dwelling, he suddenly raised his eyebrows and opened his eyes, looking outside. Outside the cave dwelling, 2 streaks of rainbow light flew from the horizon. After circling around for a while, they stopped not far away, transforming into 2 old men in light purple robes. One was fat and the other thin, both with icy expressions. They glanced at Wang Lin's cave dwelling, and one of them shouted, "Which disciple dares to open a cave dwelling here without the elder's permission? Come out here immediately." Wang Lin's figure emerged from the cave dwelling, his expression grim. He glanced at the 2 old men, both of whom were at the early stage of the nascent soul realm. "Who gave you permission to open a cave dwelling here? You have 1 incense stick's worth of time to destroy this cave dwelling, otherwise you will be punished according to the sect's rules." The old man's eyes flashed, and he said coldly. Wang Lin's eyes became even calmer, and he said in a low voice, "Who are you 2? "The law enforcement elders of the Purple Sect." The old man, who had never spoken before, said calmly. Wang Lin extended his right hand and struck the space behind him. With a loud bang, the cave dwelling, which had been there for half a month, suddenly collapsed, stirring up clouds of dust that scattered in all directions. Wang Lin's figure was half hidden in the dust, but his eyes became even more composed. "Although the cave dwelling has been destroyed, you have violated the sect's rules. Come with us. Someone will judge you in the main hall." The old man, who had been so arrogant before, sneered. Wang Lin took a deep breath, looked at the 2 men, and calmly said, "I originally wanted to find a peaceful place to cultivate and didn't want to cause trouble here, but I've been thwarted so far. So be it." After saying this, he stepped forward, patted his storage bag with his right hand, and almost instantly, the kanji immortal appeared in his hand. Wang Lin swung it like a raging dragon, unleashing its power. The 2 old men's expressions changed immediately, and they hurriedly retreated, chanting incantations and making hand gestures. Suddenly, 2 beams of light, 1 white and 1 black, flashed from them. "How dare you attack even the law enforcement elder?" one of the old men immediately shouted. But this kanji immortal was also extremely fast. A fleeting afterimage flashed, and the old man who was speaking immediately changed his expression drastically. His body trembled, and with a crisp cracking sound, he was instantly thrown backward, spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood. His primordial spirit was unexpectedly pulled 3 feet out of his body. The kanji immortal specializes in attacking the primordial spirit. His face showed unimaginable terror. His primordial spirit struggled to return to his body, but Wang Lin didn't give him that chance. His right index finger traced a bow in the air. A flash of red light appeared, and the bow shot out like lightning, heading straight for the old man's primordial spirit. The old man's face turned grim. He opened his mouth and spat out a cloud of mist, struggling to resist the lightning-shaped bow. The remaining elder's face instantly turned pale. Without a word, he swung a white light from his hand, patted his storage bag, and immediately took out a purple long sword. He held it in his hand, pointing the tip at Wang Lin, and shouted, "7-star shatter." As soon as he finished speaking, the purple sword instantly flashed, shattering into 7 pieces with a cracking sound, and with immense power, it roared towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin turned his head sharply, his eyes flashing with crimson light, and a terrifying killing intent surged from them. "What kind of look is this? What kind of monster have I provoked?" The old man trembled involuntarily upon seeing the killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes. At this moment, Wang Lin patted his storage bag, and the immortal sword appeared faster than lightning. Following closely behind the immortal sword was the curved saber that even Wang Lin greatly feared. A series of deafening roars echoed, and before the 7 fragments of the flying sword could even reach the immortal sword, they were all shattered by this overwhelming force. From within the immortal sword came the maniacal laughter of Su Li Guo. The old man said nothing, turning and fleeing. He had clearly seen that it wasn't the immortal sword itself that shattered the flying sword fragments, but the curved saber behind it. The saber had unexpectedly moved back and forth 7 times in an instant, each time striking precisely a fragment of the flying sword, causing all 7 fragments to shatter completely. Because of this incredible speed, it looked as if all 7 fragments of the flying sword had shattered simultaneously. Therefore, how could the old man not be terrified? He inwardly lamented his misfortune, secretly regretting listening to Zhou Shawcrossing. It was too late to regret it now. Wang Lin didn't even look at the old man, taking a step forward, instantly arriving beside the person whose primordial spirit had been blown out. The primordial spirit, resisting the arc-shaped lightning, noticed Wang Lin approaching from behind and immediately screamed, ceasing its resistance and attempting to flee. Wang Lin's eyes blazed with cold light. He raised his right hand, and the Forbidden's banner trembled, instantly descending from the sky, forming a vast net that blocked the primordial spirit's escape route. At the same time, he reached out and grabbed at the void, shouting, "Turn back!" The primordial spirit felt a powerful force coming from behind, and was now surrounded by restrictions. While it wouldn't take long to break through, the situation was extremely perilous. Gritting his teeth, he spun around abruptly, shouting, "I am the law enforcement elder. If you kill me, even if you are a disciple of the Ancestor Venerable, you will still be punished by the sect rules. It seems you know my identity." Wang Lin sneered, his right hand fiercely grabbing. The primordial spirit let out a pained cry, and he snatched it back into his hand. At the same time, Wang Lin patted his storage bag, and a bell flew out, transforming into a 3-jan-tall bell in the wind. Wang Lin swung his right hand and threw the primordial spirit towards the bell, which pinned it to the ground. "Refine," Wang Lin said coldly, then turned to look at the old man not far away. The remaining old man there had a pained expression, quickly retreating to a distance of 10 jang, not daring to make a single move. The curved saber in front of him flashed continuously, and the roar of Suligul emanated from the immortal sword. "Grandson, stand still for your grandfather. If you dare to move even a little, I'll rip off a piece of your flesh." Wang Lin calmly looked at the old man, slowly saying, "If this place doesn't need a quiet Wang, then I'll be more flamboyant and act like a stubborn person. Now tell me, who used to live in the Purple Cloud Pavilion?" The old man's face turned pale. He couldn't believe that the person he thought was from a desolate planet could so calmly and nonchalantly capture both of them, the early-stage nascent soul law enforcement elders, without batting an eye. Such divine power could only be achieved by a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator. A rare feeling of regret welled up in his heart. If he had known this would happen, he shouldn't have listened to Zhao Crossing Shaw, and now he was in this predicament. At this moment, the old man not far away was being restrained by a large bell, his primordial spirit being suppressed, and a mournful cry came from him, clearly indicating that he was suffering the pain of being instantly refined. This sound reached the old man's ears. He sighed, giving up all resistance, and looked at Wang Lin with a complex expression, saying, "Release him first. This is our fault for being reckless. Whatever you want to know, we'll tell you everything." Wang Lin remained expressionless, coldly staring at the man. The old man's face was distressed as he glanced at the constantly flashing saber in front of him and said, "The Ancestor Venerable Master took disciples from 7 systems throughout his life. In each system, there are 7 people, but only one is a true disciple. The others, although called disciples, were not directly taught by the Ancestor Venerable Master. Those 7 people from the 7 systems are known as the 7 Sons of Heavenly Fortune." Wang Lin remained silent, calmly listening. He stood there like a towering pine tree, proud and composed, unaffected by the wind and rain, completely different from when he first arrived at the Heavenly Fortune sect. The purple lineage, 1,000 years ago, produced an extraordinary genius. This person strived his entire life, ultimately becoming the #1 person in the purple lineage. Replacing the 6th elder and becoming one of the 7 Heavenly Fortune Sons, his name is Sun Yun. His current residence is called Purple Cloud Pavilion. Wang Lin's eyes widened, and he calmly said, "What does this have to do with me? Originally, it had no connection. But Sun Yun, for some unknown reason, escaped from the sect 100 years ago. Although the founding ancestor didn't send anyone to hunt him down, after personally searching for him, he returned a month later and ordered the sealing of Purple Cloud Pavilion, leaving a message that the next person to inherit Purple Cloud Pavilion would be one of the 7 Heavenly Fortune Sons." The old man paused here, looked at Wang Lin with a complex expression, and continued, "Including you, there are 7 disciples of the Purple Cloud sect, 6 of whom grew up on Heavenly Fortune Star. Only you came from a deserted planet. In the eyes of the other disciples, you are not a native, but a low-level cultivator. If the ancestor hadn't allowed you to stay in the Purple Cloud Pavilion, they might have been somewhat tolerant of you, but now it's clear they are extremely hostile towards you. Moreover, your cultivation level wasn't high when you appeared, and your fellow disciples disliked you even more. Although they were hesitant to directly attack you out of fear of the ancestor, they couldn't help but resort to underhanded tactics. I've said everything I needed to say. The two of us provoking you today was our fault. From now on, we will absolutely not participate in the power struggles between you brothers. The old man said, his eyes glancing at the gleaming saber. He was extremely wary of this saber. Wang Lin's eyes flashed with cold light. So that's the reason for everything. With a wave of his right hand, the immortal sword immediately returned to his side. Sun Li let out a cry. His saber retreated, sparing the old man, and followed the immortal sword back. The old man breathed a sigh of relief, then glanced at the large bell again. Inside, the primordial spirit of his companion was screaming miserably. After hesitating for a moment, he said, "Him." Wang Lin waved his right hand again, and the bell spun and flew into his hand. He flicked his finger, and the bell immediately shrunk, but a beam of green light quickly flew out from within. Just as it was about to escape, Wang Lin's left hand grabbed it. A piercing scream came from within the green light. "I am the law enforcement elder." Before the person could finish speaking, Wang Lin's right hand swept, and the green light instantly shattered, revealing an extremely weak primordial spirit. Wang Lin didn't even glance at it, and suddenly threw the primordial spirit into his mouth. The moment the old man's primordial spirit entered Wang Lin's mouth, it was instantly sucked into the venerable soul banner within Wang Lin's primordial spirit by an immense force. Having finished, Wang Lin looked at the old man and calmly said, "You don't want to leave." The old man stared blankly at Wang Lin's left hand. He couldn't believe this person had the audacity to violate the sex rules and devour his primordial spirit right before his eyes. This kind of behavior was completely demonic. His mind was greatly shaken, and he retreated a few steps, forcing a smile as he said, "I'll leave immediately. I know nothing about what happened today. I'm leaving." As he spoke, his body retreated backward, unleashing his full speed, frantically fleeing. A glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes, and he softly uttered, "Kill him." Sun Li, wielding his immortal sword, let out a cheer. The immortal sword instantly transformed into a flash of lightning, while the curved saber was even faster, directly disappearing without a trace. A faint, mournful groan echoed from the distant horizon. Almost in an instant, the curved saber flew back. Wang Lin's right hand grasped the void, and the old man's primordial spirit was immediately pulled out from the saber. The old man wanted to cry out in terror, but it was too late. Wang Lin directly devoured this primordial spirit, imprisoning it within the venerable soul banner. Having finished, the cold light in Wang Lin's eyes not only didn't diminish, but intensified. He turned around and flew towards the Purple Cloud Pavilion. Heavenly Fortune Master left me at the Purple Cloud Pavilion. He must have planned everything in advance. In that case, I'll cause a earth-shattering uproar, letting the entire Heavenly Fortune sect know that I, Wang Lin, am not someone to be trifled with. He flew for a while and arrived at the Purple Cloud Pavilion. The woman in purple was sitting in the pavilion, caressing the landscape painting on the wall, her eyes filled with longing. Upon noticing Wang Lin's arrival, she frowned, her body flashing as she appeared outside the pavilion, staring intently at the approaching Wang Lin. She coldly said, "What are you doing here? Get out." Wang Lin's eyes flicked. Without a word, he formed a hand seal and pointed forward. The immortal sword immediately roared, hurtling straight towards the woman. The curved saber followed closely behind, flashing and reaching her. The woman's expression changed, and her body suddenly vanished in an instant. Her speed was incredibly fast, even comparable to the curved saber. The curved saber only managed to cut a few strands of her hair. Wang Lin snorted coldly, pointing his right hand towards the sky and shouting, "Condense." The immortal power within his body surged, and from his right hand, a massive white sphere of light suddenly condensed, appearing in his palm in a flash. Without a moment's hesitation, Wang Lin's right hand grabbed, his body soaring into the air. Then he pressed down, shouting, "Get out of here." The ball of light, like a bolt of lightning, slammed down from the sky, directly hitting the ground. A deafening explosion resounded. The ball of light completely penetrated the ground. At this moment, the ground seemed to be writhing like a dragon, moving wildly. 100 feet away, a white light flashed. The woman's figure flew out from the ground, standing in midair, her face showing terror. Wang Lin's eyes were icy cold as he stared at the woman, saying coldly, "From today onwards, this Purple Cloud Pavilion will be renamed Purple Forest Pavilion." As Wang Lin spoke, he patted his right hand behind him. A beam of green light quickly descended, flying into the three large characters' Purple Cloud Pavilion. In an instant, the green light dissipated, and the character Yun in Purple Cloud Pavilion transformed into the character Lin. This single character, Lin, was incredibly arrogant yet majestic, like a raging dragon emerging from the sea or a frenzied phoenix soaring through the heavens. A powerful, arrogant aura emanated from it, causing those who saw it to tremble. The woman in purple stared blankly at the three enormous characters, the Lin Pavilion, tears streaming down her face. She forcefully turned her head, glaring at Wang Lin, her voice choked with tears. "I must kill you." As she spoke, her body froze, then suddenly vanished, leaving only a gentle breeze behind. Wang Lin raised his eyebrows and immediately retreated. The wind contained an overwhelming aura of killing intent. The ground beneath Wang Lin's feet was instantly split open by the gust, creating a massive crack. As Wang Lin stepped back, the woman's figure reappeared from the wind. Her eyes were bloodshot, radiating intense killing intent. She patted her storage bag with her right hand, and a beam of red light shot out, instantly transforming into a fiery phoenix in midair. The phoenix let out a loud cry, engulfing the surroundings in red flames, but instead of reaching the Purple Forest Pavilion, it surged towards Wang Lin like molten lava descending from the heavens. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he grabbed at the void. His immortal sword instantly appeared in his hand. Holding the immortal sword, Wang Lin concentrated his immortal power and suddenly slashed forward. A massive sword light, several meters long, roared and tore through the wind, directly plunging into the molten lava. A resounding crash echoed. The sound was incredibly loud, spreading throughout the entire mountain. The molten rock was unexpectedly cleaved open, creating a hole. Wang Lin's body flashed, leaping out of the hole, his right hand pointing forward. Under this point, the heavens and earth changed color. It seemed as if all the light in the heavens and earth was drawn to this single finger. The entire world was reduced to just this one finger. This was one of the deadly techniques that Sichuan had taught Wang Lin before leaving. The Annihilation Finger. This three-form killing technique was the most vicious magic that Sichuan had compiled over tens of thousands of years. Its power immense. He had only ever taught it to Wang Lin. This single finger strike caused the woman's face to turn pale, the madness in her eyes vanishing. She was about to teleport, but was horrified to find that the surrounding space was extremely weak, making teleportation impossible. Once teleported, it was feared that even without an opponent's intervention, she herself would fall into nothingness. Wang Lin's eyes blazed with cold light, and with a lightning-fast flick of his finger, he pressed it against the woman's forehead. The purple-robed woman gritted her teeth, her body flashed, and unexpectedly, a clone emerged from within her. This clone lunged at Wang Lin's finger, letting out a soft groan, its body withering and turning into spakes of light, completely absorbed by Wang Lin's finger. At this moment, the power of Wang Lin's finger was even greater. The purple-robed woman's face turned even paler. She spat out a mouthful of fresh blood and withered. Yet another clone appeared. "Explode!" the woman shouted. The clone self-destructed, and a surge of frenzied energy immediately erupted, the wind howling in all directions, cracks appearing on the ground. And even some areas outside the Purple Forest Pavilion had collapsed. As this clone self-destructed, the woman immediately noticed that the surrounding space seemed to loosen. Without a word, she hastily retreated. But at that moment, a strange, demonic thumb reappeared in the mist ahead. The woman's eyes showed terror and despair. Following the appearance of the thumb were Wang Lin's icy eyes. He looked at the woman as if she were already dead. "Stop!" At this moment, several streaks of rainbow light suddenly flew from afar. A roar came from them. Wang Lin snorted coldly. He had been waiting for these people to come. At this moment, his thumb not only didn't retract, but its speed increased several times, instantly pointing at the woman's forehead. The woman's eyes opened wide, her body trembled, and after being struck by Wang Lin's thumb, her body fell to the ground. But her primordial spirit was imprisoned by Wang Lin. At this moment, the surrounding fog had dissipated. Wang Lin stood in midair, his right thumb placed at the corner of his mouth, and with a single breath, he channeled the woman's primordial spirit into the soul banner. Several streaks of rainbow light flashed across the sky, and then four figures suddenly appeared 100 yards away from Wang Lin. These four were three men and one woman. Of the three men, Wang Lin recognized two. One with a benevolent expression was Zhao Crossingshaw, and the other he knew was the person he had traded with Bai Wei. The last man was a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance, but at this moment, a raging rage emanated from him. He stared at Wang Lin, gnashing his teeth and shouting, "Fellow disciples killing each other. Today, I will avenge my master and cleanse the sect." Behind the three men was a woman. This woman was beautiful, and wherever she stood, a fragrant scent filled the air. Her expression was somewhat strange, as if she were enjoying the spectacle, and she suddenly glanced at Wang Lin. A moment later, countless streaks of rainbow light arrived. Wang Lin's divine sense swept across, and he realized that these people were all disciples of the Purple Sect, likely having noticed something unusual here and come to investigate. These people didn't approach, but stood 1,000 feet away. Gradually, more and more people arrived, until finally the entire sky was densely packed with Purple Sect disciples. Their eyes were all fixed on Wang Lin. Their gazes held a variety of expressions, but most were filled with fear. The middle-aged man who had just shouted was about to step forward when Zhao Crossingshaw stopped him. His eyes widened, staring at Zhao Crossingshaw and saying, "Senior brother, what do you mean by that?" Zhao Crossingshaw's expression was now serious. Ignoring the middle-aged man, he looked at Wang Lin and said in a low voice, "Wang Junior Brother, you are ranked 7th. I call you 7th Junior Brother. Tell me, what is the meaning of today's events?" Wang Lin's expression was calm. The appearance of these people was all within his expectations. More accurately, everything was secretly orchestrated by Tianzi. Wang Lin couldn't guess Tianzi's intentions, but at this moment, he showed no hesitation. Zhao Crossingshaw, mid-stage nascent soul. Bai Wei, mid-stage nascent soul. The middle-aged man was also mid-stage nascent soul, but what truly caught Wang Lin's attention was the woman. Her cultivation was very strong. Late-stage nascent soul. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. Who is Sun Yun? To Zhao Crossingshaw's question, Wang Lin calmly replied. This statement caused the four others to change their expressions. Zhao Crossingshaw stared at Wang Lin for a moment before shaking his head and saying, "Seventh brother, you're wrong about this. Your senior brother can't help you." After saying this, he released the middle-aged man's arm. The middle-aged man looked at Wang Lin, took a quick step, covering 100 feet, and stood 10 feet away from Wang Lin, coldly saying, "A native of a planet like yours. Let me show you what true divine power is today." A very dangerous aura emanated from him. Wang Lin stared at him, his right hand resting on his storage bag. Just as they were about to clash, Bai Wei's eyes showed hesitation, and she suddenly said, "Senior brother, Forbidden's techniques are not allowed in a duel between fellow disciples. It violates the sect rules." The middle-aged man glanced at Bai Wei, coldly saying, "He killed our 5th junior sister, and you're still covering for him, Bai Wei." Bai Wei's eyes showed a strange expression, staring at the middle-aged man and smiling slightly. "Senior brother, you've touched upon a sensitive point for your junior brother. I'll remember that." The middle-aged man snorted softly, turned his head, and stared at Wang Lin, his voice cold. "Come out." "Go ahead. I'll let you perform 3 spells first. You're allowed to use your magic treasures too." Wang Lin calmly looked at this person. His cultivation was at the mid-stage of the nascent soul realm. His immortal power far surpassed his own, but Wang Lin had many magic treasures and also the 3 killing moves of Sichuan. He was 70% confident in dealing with a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator. 3 spells. A smile appeared on Wang Lin's lips. He raised his right hand, his thumb pointing at the person, and said, "Good." In an instant, the immortal power within his body surged wildly. A strange, eerie light emanated from his thumb, seemingly absorbing all the surrounding light. Furthermore, Wang Lin simultaneously took half a step forward, his thumb suddenly pressing down. The middle-aged man, who had previously noticed Wang Lin's divine ability, couldn't help but sneer and take a deep breath upon seeing him use it again. He forcefully clasped his hands together, and immediately a golden aura emanated from his forehead. This dazzling light was incredibly bright, instantly enveloping his entire body. A vast, ocean-like force surged from his body. Though it happened in the blink of an eye, Wang Lin's thumb pressed down, instantly landing on the golden light. The man shouted, "Forbidden's divine technique, return to the void." Suddenly, the golden light on the burly man's body seemed to come alive, wriggling wildly. The moment Wang Lin's thumb touched it, a golden finger-like object formed, striking Wang Lin's thumb. A strange smile appeared on Wang Lin's lips. He suddenly retracted his thumb, and at the same time, his left hand reached into his storage bag. The kanji whip instantly appeared in his hand and swung out. With a loud crack, the golden light that had transformed into the burly man's thumb vanished. Even the golden light on his body shattered under this single blow. This was the first time, now it's the second. "Second, senior brother, don't try to escape," Wang Lin said, and the kanji whip in his hand lashed out again. This whip, like a raging dragon roaring, descended with terrifying force. Another crack echoed. The burly man's face turned pale. His primordial spirit was almost knocked out of his body by this single blow. The golden light surrounding his body had completely dissipated. Seeing the third whip about to strike, the burly man immediately retreated 10 paces, his face filled with terror as he stared at the whip in Wang Lin's hand, his expression grim as he said, "What kind of magical artifact is this?" Wang Lin looked at him and chuckled. "There's one more whip." The burly man's face darkened. He snorted softly, patted his storage bag, and a large long sword appeared in his hand. Holding the sword, a surge of sword intent immediately rose, including the hand seal. "That's 3 strikes. Why is there still one whip left?" "I'm here today to cleanse the sect on behalf of my master, Wang Lin. Accept your death." As he spoke, his body suddenly bent down, the long sword in his hand flying upwards, and he shouted, "10 directions, 8 array." The sword instantly split into 2, then 4, and in an instant, countless swords rained down from the sky, hurtling straight towards Wang Lin. At the same time, the middle-aged man sat down and began chanting incantations, muttering something under his breath. A cloud of black mist quickly emerged from his head, lingering in the air for a long time without dissipating. The incantations became more numerous, and the black mist grew denser, resembling a dark cloud from afar. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he pointed his right hand at the immortal sword. The immortal sword immediately flew up, heading straight towards the swords raining down from the sky. Following closely behind was the curved saber, its momentum like lightning. Loud explosions resounded continuously. The flying swords in the sky shattered, scattering into countless fragments in all directions. Then Wang Lin swung his left hand, and a battle axe suddenly appeared. At this moment, he looked like an ancient war god. Advancing step by step, the battle axe in his hand suddenly aimed directly at the seated middle-aged man and slashed down. The middle-aged man's eyes widened. Now, his eyes were pitch black. He let out a sinister laugh and sprang to his feet. The black mist in the air, like a raging fog, slid into 7 streams and plunged into his 7 orifices. "Forbidden's divine technique, immortal demon body." The middle-aged man shouted, taking a step forward. Wang Lin's battle axe instantly slashed down at him. A series of metallic clanging sounds echoed throughout the heavens and earth. The man's body remained completely unharmed. As for Wang Lin, he felt a series of vibrations from the battle axe that numbed his hand. The man laughed viciously, his body flashing, instantly transforming into a stream of black mist, wildly swirling towards Wang Lin. Wherever he went, the ground cracked and vegetation withered. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he retreated. At the same time, he raised his right hand, and the beast-taming scroll in his hand immediately flew out, transforming into the divine archery chariot. A murderous glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. This person's Forbidden's divine technique was truly powerful. If Wang Lin hadn't possessed so many magical treasures, he probably wouldn't have been able to withstand it. The middle-aged man transformed into black mist, frantically rushing towards Wang Lin. At this moment, the immortal sword in the sky suddenly flashed, shooting straight into the black mist. The curved saber followed closely behind, almost instantly piercing through the black mist. A soft snort came from the man within the black mist. He continued to charge forward, ignoring the sword and saber. Wang Lin's eyes flashed with a sharp glint, his right hand forming a hand seal, and he softly shouted, "Demon Transformation Finger." The second technique taught by Sichunan was unleashed. A purple flame suddenly spread from Wang Lin's right index finger. At this moment, this purple flame flickered, sometimes bright, sometimes dim, seemingly ready to go out at any moment. But this flame, which Sichuan had to spend a month teaching Wang Lin to use, was a demonic flame. Burning the immortal power within his body, the reverse transformation gave rise to a demonic flame. According to Sichuan, its power was such that an ordinary nascent soul cultivator would certainly die if they encountered it. Wang Lin's eyes coldly watched the flame swirling around his fingertips. Under the light of the demonic flame, he now possessed an eerie and sinister aura. He pointed his right hand forward. In an instant, the black mist surged forward. The demonic flame on his fingertips shot out, merging into the black mist. In a flash, boiling water-like sounds emanated from within the black mist. Then it suddenly swirled 3 feet in front of Wang Lin before quickly retreating. And cries of astonishment continuously came from within. A cold smile appeared on Wang Lin's lips as he leaned forward, his right hand swinging. The extreme staff of the immortal appeared, striking down fiercely. With several loud clangs, the whip in Wang Lin's hand lashed down furiously. The black mist swirled violently, seemingly about to disintegrate, retreating rapidly. Wang Lin pursued relentlessly, the Kunji immortal staff in his hand still lashing out. At this moment, among the 3 observing, Zhao Xingqia's expression changed. His body flashed, and he rushed forward, shouting, "Seventh brother, stop!" As Zhao Xingqia spoke, his right hand patted his storage bag. Immediately, a white light ring appeared in his hand. A strange glint appeared in his eyes, and he was about to swing it. Just then, Wang Lin turned his head sharply, staring at Zhao Xingqia, and shouted, "Get out of here!" Zhao Xingqia's expression changed, and he sneered. Instead of retreating, he accelerated, swinging the light ring in his hand and charging straight towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes showed contempt. He pointed his left hand at the void towards the divine archery chariot, and coldly said, "Unseal it." As these 2 words were uttered, a thunderous roar shook the earth and sky, reverberating throughout the mountain. Even within tens of thousands of miles, the earth-shattering roar emanating from the divine archery chariot could be heard. This sound revealed an unyielding spirit, unyielding to heaven, unyielding to earth, unyielding to immortals, unyielding to the mortals. This indomitable roar resounded, spreading wildly. Zhao Xingqia's body froze instantly. His face turned pale, and he turned around, staring blankly at the divine archery chariot in the distance, his body immediately retreating rapidly. On the divine archery chariot, a colossal beast, over 100 feet tall, held its head high, revealing eyes of extreme coldness, filled with a terrifying, ominous light that made one tremble. As soon as this giant beast appeared, Bai Wei immediately retreated without hesitation, stopping more than 1,000 feet away, staring at the beast with fear in her eyes. As for the female cultivator in the late stage of the nascent soul realm, her expression also changed. She retreated more than 100 feet before stopping, looking at the giant beast's head, a thoughtful look in her eyes. Her demeanor clearly showed she was also afraid of this beast. If they were like this, then what about the disciples of the purple sect outside? These people were all showing signs of fear. The indomitable roar just now had violently shaken the minds of more than half of the disciples, some even unable to continue flying, their spiritual power in their bodies in turmoil. Among the surrounding disciples were also law enforcement elders. They were secretly lamenting, thinking that they absolutely could not get involved in the struggle for the ancestors' disciple. Anyone who could catch the ancestors, I was no weakling. Don't underestimate this person, although he was only in the early stage of the nascent soul realm. His overall strength was something even those in the late stage of the nascent soul realm would be wary of. The disciples scattered, their gazes towards Wang Lin filled not only with fear but also with a hint of respect. Powerful individuals are feared and respected wherever they go. This is a rule of the cultivation world. Wang Lin's eyes were cold as he stared at Zhao Xingqia, who was retreating rapidly. He softly said, "Kill him. I allow you to devour his soul to nourish yourself." The spirit beast on the divine archer chariot turned its head sharply to look at Wang Lin, then roared again. Its body flashed, and with a loud bang, it pulled out a chain attached to its body, connecting it to the divine archer chariot. As it sped forward, the chain was pulled taut, making cracking sounds, as if it could break at any moment. Even the divine archer chariot was dragged along by this spirit beast. Zhao Xingqia's face changed drastically, and he frantically retreated, shouting, "Third brother, fourth brother, attack!" Wang Lin sneered, ignoring him and continuing to whip the black mist. The cries within the black mist grew increasingly intense, finally dissipating after only 3 moments, transforming into a middle-aged man. His face was now pale, devoid of any color, and his legs trembled as he landed, nearly falling. At this moment, Wang Lin lashed out at his chest with another whip. His primordial spirit was instantly blasted out of his body, falling 3 feet away. Wang Lin retracted the Kunji immortal whip, and with a wave of his right hand, the soul-suppressing banner appeared. He flicked it, and several main souls immediately flashed, chasing after the middle-aged man's primordial spirit. Having finished, Wang Lin calmly gazed at the heavens and earth, his eyes serene. The disciples of the purple sect whom he glanced at all bowed their heads, not daring to meet his gaze directly. Even the law enforcement elder bowed his head, his heart filled with awe. This Wang Lin, from a discarded planet, possesses such divine abilities. This doubt lingered in everyone's hearts, refusing to dissipate. Finally, Wang Lin's gaze turned towards Bai Wei and the late-stage transformation realm woman, calmly saying, "Do you two also wish to make a move?" Bai Wei smiled wryly and shook her head. The woman's eyes flashed, and she smiled charmingly, saying, "Seventh Brother's display of power today has made us reevaluate you. If there's an opportunity in the future, we can discuss this further." Wang Lin nodded, and with a wave of his right hand, the main souls chasing the big man's primordial spirit immediately abandoned him and quickly returned to Wang Lin's side. He took a deep breath and swallowed them all, sending them into the soul banner within the primordial spirit. The middle-aged man's primordial spirit was now filled with fear. He had just used the forbiddance technique of the immortal demon body, which could devour all matter. But first, the opponent's flying sword couldn't devour it. Then the seemingly weak purple flame merged into his body, shattering the immortal demon body. He suffered a severe backlash, and then the remaining purple flame in his body burned him, causing his blood to rapidly evaporate. Adding to that, the opponent had that strange whip, which repeatedly lashed down, inflicting even more serious injuries. The whip pierced through his body and reached his primordial spirit. The final whip strike forced his primordial spirit out of his body. The fact that this magical artifact possessed such supernatural powers deeply shocked him. Then he was pursued by several nascent soul stage masters. If the opponent didn't retrieve that soul, he would have no choice but to self-destruct, sacrificing more than half of his cultivation to escape. Speaking of Zhao Crossing Shaw, his speed was very fast, but it couldn't compare to the soul beasts. He was being pursued, about to be devoured by the soul beasts, when a peaceful light descended from the sky. The light points merged together, suddenly transforming into an old man. This old man had kind eyes, long, flowing eyebrows, and a smile on his lips. He glanced at the soul beasts, pointed his right hand at the air, and said with a smile, "What a fine heavenly venerable beast." The ferocious soul beasts stopped, staring at the old man, roaring but with fear in their eyes. The old man shook his head slightly, his right hand clapping in the air. The spirit beast let out a groan, its enormous body instantly shrinking, and with a wave of the old man's hand, it shot back into the divine archery chariot, transforming into the beast-taming scroll with a loud bang. Zhao Crossing's face turned pale. Upon seeing the old man, he respectfully said, "Greetings, master." Bai Wei and the late-stage transformation realm woman also looked serious, respectfully saying, "Greetings, master." As for the middle-aged man who had lost his physical body, he also showed extreme respect, solemnly saying in his spiritual body, "Disciple greets master." At this moment, the disciples of the purple sect all bowed to the old man. The old man nodded slightly, waved his right hand, and the middle-aged man's spiritual body was immediately and quickly returned to his physical body by a gentle force. His internal injuries instantly healed. After this, the old man looked at Wang Lin and smiled, "Actually, you've met me before." Wang Lin waved his right hand, and the beast-taming scroll flew into his grasp. He looked up at the old man, his arrogant demeanor completely gone, and respectfully said, "Junior Wang Lin greets Senior Che Yunzi." The old man nodded, glancing behind Wang Lin. There stood the Purple Forest Pavilion, more than half destroyed by the great battle. Only the 3 large characters' Purple Forest Pavilion remained intact. Beautiful calligraphy. The old man stroked his silver beard and pointed his right hand. A flash of white light appeared. The Purple Forest Pavilion suddenly restored itself to its original state, as if the recent events had never happened. Even the cracks on all sides, the mountains, and the trees were completely restored. This level of divine power greatly shocked Wang Lin. Wang Lin, I saw you on the Vermilion Bird Star back then and had the idea of taking you as my disciple. I originally intended to make you a registered disciple for 100 years. However, when I met you again, I changed my mind. Are you willing to become my disciple and one of the disciples of Tia Yanzi in the purple lineage? Tia Yanzi looked at Wang Lin with a serious expression. Wang Lin looked at Tia Yanzi for a moment, then knelt down and respectfully said, Disciple Wang Lin greets Master, very well. Tia Yanzi laughed heartily, looking at Wang Lin with a benevolent look in his eyes, and said, Now release your fifth senior sister's primordial spirit. Any more delay and I will lose a disciple. Wang Lin raised his head and calmly said, I can release my fifth senior sister's primordial spirit. But these two have been disrespectful to me. They cannot be forgiven. Tia Yanzi was silent for a moment, then smiled, looked deeply at Wang Lin, and nodded, saying, Very well. Wang Lin's primordial spirit stirred slightly, and immediately the female primordial spirit was released from the soul-refining banner. A purple light flashed from Wang Lin's mouth, transforming into the female figure more than 10 meters in front of him. As soon as she appeared, she let out an angry roar and charged towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. His body didn't move, but his eyes gleamed with cold light. Enough, Tia Yanzi said calmly. With those words, the purple-robed female primordial spirit shattered, transforming into numerous points of light, which Tia Yanzi collected with a wave of his sleeve. Wang Lin's mind trembled, his pupils narrowed, and he stood silently where the purple-robed female primordial spirit had just dissipated. Everyone retreat. Wang Lin stays. Tia Yanzi waved his sleeve, his body soaring and then descending outside the purple forest pavilion. Bai Wei hurriedly bowed respectfully, her body retreating, transforming into a rainbow and flying away into the distance. The woman in the late stage of the transformation realm also looked respectful and left with Bai Wei. The middle-aged man and Zhao Xingqi's expressions were gloomy, especially Zhao Xingqi's, whose face was somewhat unpleasant. After giving Wang Lin a deep glance, he turned and left. The disciples of the purple sect outside also dispersed. Today, Wang Lin's image in their hearts had completely reversed. At this moment, no one dared to disrespect Wang Lin anymore. Wang Lin respectfully stood beside Tia Yanzi, bowing his head without speaking. Tia Yanzi's power far exceeded his imagination. He secretly compared him to Sichuan, and finally had to admit that Sichuan was far from being a match for Tia Yanzi. After all, Sichuan couldn't shatter a person's primordial spirit with a single word, or restore everything to its original state with a single word. This was a kind of immortal technique, not a divine ability of a cultivator. Previously, within a month, Sichuan had introduced Wang Lin to some of the cultivator's techniques. Among these, the techniques that left the deepest impression on Wang Lin were immortal techniques. These weren't techniques that utilized immortal power. To be precise, they were truly immortal techniques of powerful divine ability, similar to the heavenly Dao seal bestowed upon the cultivation planets by the Cultivation Alliance. However, while seals require inheritance, immortal techniques only require incantations and seals. Since the collapse of the immortal realm, most immortal techniques have been lost, becoming increasingly rare over time. Immortal techniques are also categorized into grades: low grade, mid grade, and high grade. There's also another level called Supreme Immortal Techniques, which are extremely rare. Sichuan had only heard about them and hadn't been able to elaborate much. As for the 3 killing techniques that he taught Wang Lin, to be precise, many years ago, Sichuan followed the first Vermilion Bird Master Yuaya to some place and obtained an incomplete low-grade immortal technique, from which he then comprehended it. Sichuan couldn't restore this immortal technique, only imitate it. After years of research, he finally devised the 3 killing techniques. Because he cultivated the demonic path, these 3 killing techniques incorporated demonic elements. Tia Yanzi stood silently outside the Purple Forest Pavilion, gazing at the character Lin, remaining silent for a long time. The surroundings were quiet. Wang Lin, standing beside him, also said nothing. He didn't understand Tia Yanzi's temperament, nor did he know what his esteemed master was thinking at this moment. But judging from his demeanor, he didn't seem angry. After a long while, Tia Yanzi sighed, withdrew his gaze, looked at Wang Lin, and smiled, saying that character Lin is excellent, not bad. Looking at this character, there's a rebellious aura emanating from it. It suggests that someone who cultivates the demonic path is by your side, and living with you for a long time has naturally infused your body with demonic energy. Wang Lin's mind was shaken, his expression unchanged, but his heart was racing. He finally recalled the scene of the middle-aged man, his second senior brother, performing a forbidden technique to transform into a demonic immortal body. His heart stirred slightly, and he calmly nodded, honestly saying, "There was once one beside me, but we parted ways along the way." Tia Yunzi stroked his white beard and smiled, saying, "In any case, it has nothing to do with Tia Yunstar. In my eyes, there is no distinction between good and evil, immortal and demonic. Everything follows the natural order. Heavenly destiny, everything in the world follows heavenly destiny. As long as one has a Tao heart, there are thousands of great paths, all of which can be cultivated." Wang Lin nodded respectfully. He had just thought of his second senior brother's technique, which was clearly not from a righteous sect, but a kind of demonic devouring divine power. That's why he spoke truthfully, avoiding being seen through by Tai Yunzi's lies. "You should rest for a while. 3 months from now is my grand birthday celebration. The entire Heavenly Fortune Star, along with most of the powerful individuals around here, will be attending. At that time, I will take this opportunity to announce your acceptance as my disciple, and also to make a good impression on the people of Heavenly Fortune. Furthermore, there's another matter. Your senior brother will tell you about it soon." After saying this, Heavenly Fortune Master moved slightly, stepping into the void, slowly disappearing into the air. Wang Lin respectfully saw Heavenly Fortune Master off, then turned and entered the Purple Forest Pavilion. Inside the secret chamber on the 3rd floor of the Purple Forest Pavilion, Wang Lin sat cross-legged, took a deep breath, and looked around, his eyes flashing with a strange glint. "Today, I can finally consider myself firmly established in this Heavenly Fortune sect. It seems that I can't avoid too much here. The stubborn can survive. This Heavenly Fortune Master must have been watching me all along. He observed my use of magical artifacts very carefully. More accurately, it wasn't the divine archery chariot, but the key was the immortal sword. However, all of this was within my expectations. To truly establish myself here, this immortal sword absolutely couldn't be hidden from Heavenly Fortune Master. Now that I have no obstacles, I can use it directly. Heavenly Fortune Master is also too embarrassed to ask for it from his disciple. When he expresses his desire to take it, I will directly offer it to him, perhaps in exchange for some favor the forbidden techniques and divine abilities of my second senior brother are truly impressive. My current abilities have reached the peak of the early stage of the transformation realm, especially in the 3 entrance trials, the human realm, the path of seeking the Tao through the heart, and the cycle of reincarnation, comprehending the Tao heart. Heavenly Gate, I have touched the Heavenly Tao, my realm of understanding has been elevated, and now I am not far from reaching the mid-stage. However, to reach the mid-stage of the transformation realm, I need a large amount of immortal jade, and my current amount of immortal jade is still insufficient." After a moment of contemplation, Wang Lin clasped his hands together, casting various protective spells around the Purple Forest Pavilion, then closed his eyes and began to meditate. To the east of the Purple Sect, on a jade-paved area, stood an extremely luxurious pavilion, above which were 3 large characters Purple Crystal Pavilion. Zhao Crossing Shao, his face grim, flashed from outside and entered the Purple Crystal Pavilion. As soon as he entered, he clenched his fist and fiercely punched the air. "Wang Lin, I have followed my master in cultivation for over 2,000 years, and I understand his temperament very well. He didn't directly take you to worship at the Ancestral Pavilion, nor did he teach you the life-saving forbidden techniques. This must be problematic. If I'm not mistaken, this is probably the true test your master is giving you. 3 months from now, at his birthday celebration, if your abilities surpass those of the Purple Sect, only then will he truly accept you as his disciple. However, Wang Lin, I won't give you this opportunity. I don't care about the Purple Cloud Pavilion, but the one who obtains the title of the 7 Heavenly Fortune Sons in the Purple Sect must be me." The second brother was humiliated this time, and he will surely harbor resentment. I can exploit him. As for the third brother, this person is unpredictable and somewhat troublesome, but I will also find a way to make him obey my orders. The fourth brother, she has profound abilities, but I have my own ways to deal with her. Only the sixth brother's abilities have reached the peak of enlightenment, but many years ago, after Sun Yun stole the title of the 7 Heavenly Fortune Sons from him, he left the Heavenly Fortune sect to cultivate outside. If he returns this time, then so be it, but if he doesn't, then my only rival will be this Wang Lin. I never paid attention to this person before, but today I see that his divine abilities are not inferior. He possesses many magical artifacts. And although his skills are only at the early stage of the nascent soul transformation, he can threaten even those at the late stage of the nascent soul transformation. He is my greatest rival. It's a pity that after so many years, my injuries have still not healed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken him so seriously just because he's at the early stage of the nascent soul transformation. Zhao Crossingshi's eyes flashed with a sinister glint as he looked towards the distant Zilin pavilion, a malevolent expression appearing on his lips. 7th brother, first I will make the 4th brother fight a great battle with you. I can't kill you, but I will severely injure you, forcing you into seclusion to recover. By then, I will have become the Heavenly Fortune Master, restored my abilities, and you, I will no longer need to pay attention to. To the west of the purple sect stood a pavilion filled with a milky white aura and immense electrical voltage. This was the Ziwei Pavilion. Bai Wei sat silently in the Ziwei Pavilion, a branch of a tree placed before him. It was a recently broken branch, with several budding shoots about to bloom. Bai Wei gazed at the branch, a thoughtful expression in his eyes. This Wang Lin has strange abilities. When I met him on the trading star before, I vaguely felt he was even stronger than he is now, unlike the present, where one needs magical artifacts and divine powers to achieve similar effects. This 7th elder seems to possess many secrets. However, the more secrets there are, the more captivating he becomes. Bai Wei murmured softly, his eyes showing a dreamy expression. His right index finger gently touched the corner of his mouth. Night enveloped the land, and the Ziwei sect, under the moonlight, appeared extremely quiet. Tonight, the disciples of the Ziwei sect were discussing only one topic, Wang Lin. The name Wang Lin was like a dazzling shooting star, flashing across the sky, causing everyone to look up in awe, though they didn't know if this shooting star was fleeting or eternal. Wang Lin sat cross-legged, meditating, and remained silent all night. The next morning, the bright sunlight shone down from the top of the secret chamber on the 3rd floor of the Purple Forest Pavilion. Wang Lin opened his eyes, a starlight reflected in them, and he stood up and descended from the 3rd floor. Immortal Jade. Wang Lin pondered for a while, his expression subtly changing as he looked out at the pavilion. After a short while, he heard a gentle voice from outside. 7th junior brother, are you free? Wang Lin's expression became strange. In the purple sect, he wasn't afraid of Zhao Crossingsha, nor his 4th senior sister, but only his 3rd senior brother, Bai Wei, was someone he couldn't avoid at all costs. Wang Lin sighed inwardly, stepping outside the pavilion. He saw Bai Wei dressed in purple robes adorned with a few flower petals. This man was already extremely handsome, but now, dressed like this, the sunlight shimmered, making him look like a beautiful woman. Wang Lin kept a certain distance from him and said in a low voice, I wonder what matter brings you here, 3rd senior brother. Bai Wei smiled casually, pursing his lower lip, and said, of course there is. 7th senior brother, you haven't collected your robes and tokens yet. I've collected them all and brought them to you. After saying this, he waved his right hand, and a storage bag flew towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin received it, his divine consciousness scanning it. Inside were indeed 2 sets of purple robes and tokens. Thank you. Wang Lin clasped his hands together and said calmly, don't worry, you're unfamiliar with this purple sect mountain. How about I introduce you to it? Bai Wei said with a smile. Wang Lin's eyes showed a strange expression as he resolutely refused, saying, I appreciate your kind offer, senior brother, but I cannot do it now. I still wish to cultivate, so I'll hunt you another day, 3rd senior brother. After saying this, Wang Lin took 2 steps back. He found Bai Wei extremely peculiar. Interacting with him gave Wang Lin a profound sense of unease. Bai Wei looked at Wang Lin, his expression somewhat gloomy, and lowered his voice, saying, 7th junior brother, I have no ill intentions. It's just that the purple system is complicated and troublesome. I thought a lot last night before finally deciding to tell you. Do you really not want to hear it? Wang Lin pondered for a moment, then patted his storage bag with his right hand. Immediately, a white light flashed, and a table appeared on the ground, complete with a tea set. Wang Lin's eyes brightened. He lifted his robe and sat down, smiling. "Third senior brother, please sit." Bai Wei chuckled softly, sitting to one side. He poured a cup of tea for Wang Lin first, then for himself. After setting down the teapot, he lowered his voice and said, "That day when we parted, I really didn't expect you to be the registered disciple that our master casually mentioned all those years ago." Wang Lin smiled without saying anything. Bai Wei picked up the teacup, took a sip, his eyes flashing, and suddenly said, "Wang Lin, be careful of senior brother." Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. He looked up at Bai Wei, waiting for the other party's next words. Bai Wei put down the teacup and slowly said, "In the purple sect, senior brother is the one who followed our master the earliest and knows many things that we don't. For example, our master has been on the heavenly fortune star for countless millennia, so why is it that among the disciples, except for a very few who are outside, most have only cultivated for around 1,000 years, and very few have surpassed 10,000 years? This point others may not know, but senior brother will definitely know." Wang Lin's gaze lingered. He had considered this matter before, but he didn't know much about it, so he hadn't thought deeply about it. Now, hearing Bai Wei's words, he was immediately intrigued. Where have master's former disciples gone? This is a question not only you and I can't answer. Even the second, fourth, and fifth disciples can't figure it out. If anyone in our purple sect, besides the eldest brother, knows, I suspect it must be the seventh brother, Sun Yan, from back then. I even suspect that the reason he left the sect was because of that. Wang Lin remained silent for a while, then slowly said, "Third brother, if this matter cannot be concluded, don't make wild guesses." A strange glint flashed in Bai Wei's eyes. After a moment of silence, he said, "Our purple sect is the weakest among the 7 sects of master's disciples. Even so, there's no shortage of conflict, especially with the eldest brother. He's been aiming for the title of the 7 heavenly fortune sons for a long time. Don't underestimate senior brother. His abilities weren't like this before." Back then, senior brother competed with the 6th disciple for the title of heavenly fortune 7 sons and failed, suffering serious injuries that couldn't be healed, significantly diminishing his power. But he was incredibly resilient, daring to go into seclusion for hundreds of years, preparing to avenge his humiliation. Unfortunately, a Sun Yan appeared. Sun Yan defeated the 6th disciple and senior brother, seizing the title of heavenly fortune 7 sons. 3 months later, on our master's birthday, the title of heavenly fortune 7 sons will be reinstated to our Z lineage. At this moment, senior brother is in a desperate situation. Unless the 6th disciple returns from his cultivation outside, you, being an outsider, will certainly be eliminated by him. Wang Lin frowned, saying in a low voice, "The title of heavenly fortune 7 sons is merely an empty title. Why would he seize it like this?" Bai Wei stared at Wang Lin in astonishment, then burst into laughter, saying, "An empty title? 7th elder, you must know that once you become one of the 7 sons of heavenly fortune, you will be second only to a few in the entire heavenly fortune star, yet above tens of thousands. No cultivation nation would dare disobey your command, and you will have many followers. Furthermore, each of the 7 sons of heavenly fortune will have their own country as a place for solitary cultivation. You can choose any planet in the entire heavenly fortune star, and even have a chance to acquire one outside. The following points are even more important. You are a transformation realm cultivator. Isn't the greatest aspiration of your life to reach the peak? Reaching the peak, seeking enlightenment in the morning, dying in the evening, you understand what I mean? For a peak realm cultivator, achieving this is a huge risk, even irreversible. It's a matter of life and death. Only when you become one of the 7 sons of heavenly fortune will your master lend a helping hand. While it may not guarantee complete success, it can increase your chances by 3 parts. Tell me, who wouldn't be tempted?" Wang Lin took a deep breath, his eyes flashing. "That's not all. You and I both need a large amount of immortal jade for cultivation. Even as disciples of the master, as our abilities improve, we only receive a fixed amount each month, which is truly insufficient. Only when you become one of the 7 sons of heavenly fortune will the entire heavenly fortune sect's immortal jade be provided to these 7 people indefinitely. You're still not tempted." Wang Lin's pupils narrowed. Furthermore, if you don't care about empty fame, don't need the peak-seeking realm, and don't need immortal jade, you should know that becoming one of the 7 sons of heavenly fortune will give you a real chance to receive guidance from your master. Master's guidance isn't just a fantasy. It's a real transmission of immortal techniques. The 1,000-year heavenly sons will be taught a low-grade immortal technique, but it's a complete low-grade immortal technique. The 10,000-year heavenly sons will be taught another low-grade immortal technique, and moreover, their master will take them to the Cultivation Alliance to further cultivate and become true great divine power cultivators in the cultivation world. Being a 1,000-year heavenly son means being taught a low-grade immortal technique. Could this be true? Wang Lin's eyes focused, speaking each word distinctly. Absolutely correct. Li Shengnan of the Qing lineage is a 1,000-year heavenly son. 100 years ago, he was given a complete low-grade immortal technique by his master. He's still in seclusion studying it, and once he comes out, his strength will surely reach a terrifying level. Bai Wei nodded. A strange glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. After a moment of silence, he nodded and bowed to Bai Wei, saying, "Third senior brother, I'm a little tired. I'll visit another day." Bai Wei smiled and stood up, saying, "It's all right. If that's the case, I won't bother you any further. 7th brother, if you need anything, come find me." After saying that, Bai Wei clasped his hands together and turned to leave. As he turned, the smile on his face instantly vanished, replaced by a gloomy expression. "Senior brother, you want to become the heavenly fortune son. As long as I, Bai Wei, am alive, I will never let you succeed. I want you to fail every time. Only then can I avenge what you did to me back then." Wang Lin returned to the Purple Forest Pavilion, his eyes flashing. A complete low-grade immortal technique. If it were before, Wang Lin wouldn't have known how precious it was. But after a month with Sichuan, especially after mastering the 3 killing moves, Wang Lin had a very deep understanding of immortal techniques. Sichuan relied on an incomplete imitation of a complete immortal technique to create 3 deadly moves, and their power was already immense. This shows just how unimaginable the power of a complete immortal technique is. The immortals of that era were so powerful for 2 reasons. Firstly, immortal treasures, and secondly, immortal techniques. An immortal possessing top-grade immortal treasures and top-grade immortal techniques, this combination is truly terrifying. Their abilities become even greater, their strength even more formidable. To Wang Lin's knowledge, perhaps only the divine abilities of the ancient god tribe could rival immortal techniques. Wang Lin obtained many records of the ancient god tribe's divine abilities from the ancient god Tut's memories, but those abilities could only be performed by members of the ancient god tribe, and the requirements were extremely strict. With his current abilities, he couldn't utilize them. The 7 sons of heavenly fortune are truly fascinating. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and after a moment of contemplation, he changed into his disciple's clothes and turned to leave the Purple Forest Pavilion. It was almost noon, the blazing sun rising high, radiating intense heat. Wang Lin, dressed in purple robes, his long hair fluttering in the wind, exuded an ethereal aura. Walking along the peak of Zizong Mountain, every Zizong disciple who saw Wang Lin, regardless of distance, stopped, respectfully bowed, and addressed him as the 7th grandmother. As Wang Lin traveled, he gradually began to understand. This Chaoyun sect was unlike the other sects on GQ Star in its hierarchical structure. Instead, it inherited an ancient immortal cultivation sect that determined membership based on the order of entry. Therefore, unless someone like Wang Lin suddenly joined and given the extremely strict hierarchy, there would never be any substitutions. This also explains why Sun Yan, who had clearly become one of the 7 heavenly fortune sons that year, still had to address Jiao Crossing Sha as senior brother as before. The Purple Sect Mountain was vast, and Wang Lin had explored it many times before, so it was no longer unfamiliar to him. The place he arrived at was the Purple Sect's Spirit Refining Pavilion. This pavilion was where disciples received their daily elixirs and spirit stones. The token Bai Wei obtained was from here. As a disciple of the Heavenly Fortune Sun, he naturally enjoyed certain privileges, such as a certain amount of immortal jade. He had just heard Bai Wei mention this, which is why he came here to collect the immortal jade. If I want to compete for the title of the 7 Heavenly Fortune Sons, my abilities must reach the mid-stage of the nascent soul realm. In this Heavenly Fortune sect, Wang Lin, must be a tough guy. This is not a place to hide my abilities. If I show weakness, I'll be immediately trampled underfoot by others. Even Che Yunzi tacitly approved of this kind of behavior. Otherwise, the scene of slaughter that occurred earlier certainly wouldn't have happened. Once that's the case, I want to see how far Wang Lin, can go in this heavenly fortune sect. As long as I don't offend my master, Che Yunzi, everything here will proceed naturally. A glint of light flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. The spirit pavilion was located halfway up the mountain, on a vast platform. The 9-story building, when viewed from afar, exuded a dense spiritual energy that surged like ripples, spreading everywhere. The entire pavilion was made of purple jade imbued with a sense of antiquity, as if it had weathered countless years of wind and rain. Even some of the rocks outside had turned gray. A few emerald green vines sprouted from the cracks in the pavilion, entwining and covering the first floor. Along these vines, tiny purple flowers appeared at intervals, their colors enchanting and emitting a captivating fragrance. Below the building lay a colossal formation. The formation enveloped the entire structure, placing the spirit pavilion at its center. From a distance, this formation appeared as two opposing forces of yin and yang, constantly shifting, giving the impression of chaotic energy. 3 powerful auras emanated from it, seemingly attempting to break free. These 3 auras transformed into 3 extremely long silver streaks circling within the formation, yet strangely, they never collided. Outside the spirit pavilion sat a middle-aged man with a cross-legged posture. He wore black robes, his eyebrows like swords, his face as white as jade, and 3 long beards hung down from his chin, fluttering in the wind, giving him an air of refined elegance. His cultivation level was completely concealed. Unless one possessed a higher level of cultivation, their true nature could not be detected. He sat there with a calm expression, seemingly unaffected by the affairs of the world. His entire focus was now on an object placed before him. Before him lay a 7-foot-long sword. Its blade was a vibrant green, emitting a faint glow. Under the sunlight, the area within several meters around the sword was enveloped in this green hue. Wang Lin stood at the window of the spirit pavilion, his gaze calm, as he observed the man. This man's cultivation is at the great perfection of the god transformation realm, yet his body possesses an extremely deeply hidden sword intent. The middle-aged man's eyes widened. Seeing Wang Lin not far away, he paused for a moment, then immediately stood up, bowing respectfully and saying, "Disciple Zhang Xianfan, greetings to the 7th ancestor, the vibrant green sword." Upon his arrival, transformed into a green light and merged into his body, instantly disappearing. Wang Lin's gaze fell on Zhang Xianfan's forehead. After a moment of contemplation, he calmly said, "May I borrow your flying sword to assess it?" Zhang Xianfan was startled and nodded, saying, "My flying sword is merely an ordinary object. You can find many like it in the market at the foot of the mountain. If the 7th ancestor wants to see it, of course he can." As he spoke, he touched his forehead and let out a soft shout. A green light flashed from his forehead, transforming into a 7-foot-long sword. A series of sword sounds echoed. Wang Lin's gaze was calm. He reached out his right hand into the air, instantly grasping the green sword and carefully examining it. Just now, when Zhang Xianfan retracted his flying sword, the trace of sword intent he had emitted had completely vanished. Now, seeing this sword, Wang Lin recognized at a glance that the source of the sword intent was not Zhang Xianfan, but this flying sword. With his left hand gently caressing the azure-long sword, Wang Lin's mind was shaken. An outsider would find it difficult to detect the sword intent on this immortal sword. Even if they did, they would only feel that the sword was extraordinary. But the moment Wang Lin sensed this sword intent, his soul was instantly shaken. A very subtle feeling suddenly surged within him. Zhou Yi, Wang Lin pondered. The enlightenment on this flying sword was clearly the sword spirit of Zhou Yi from back then. Zhou Yi had pursued the sword venerable Ling Jianhu for over 100 years without a trace. At this moment, Wang Lin felt Zhou Yi's sword intent for the first time. If he hadn't possessed the pagoda containing Zhou Yi's peak level enlightenment for so many years, he wouldn't have been able to recognize the sword intent on this sword at first glance. The sword intent contained within the sword was only a single trace. Wang Lin pondered for a moment, his right hand stroking the sword's hilt. Immediately, the green color on the sword deepened, and with a flash, a green light shot out from it, transforming into a bright green point hovering before Wang Lin. Looking at this point of light, Wang Lin sighed softly, and with a grab of his right hand, he grasped it. He looked up at Zhang Xianfan, who was bewildered, and said, "This sword contains a trace of the sword intent of an old friend of mine. I'll take it, but I won't mistreat you. Take this jade slip, it contains 18 restrictions. Engrave these restrictions onto any high-grade flying sword, and its power will increase several times." After saying this, Wang Lin patted his storage bag, took out a jade slip, and threw it to Zhang Xianfan. As for the green flying sword, Wang Lin returned it. Zhang Xianfan's expression was respectful, but his eyes revealed a pain as if his flesh was being torn apart. After receiving the jade slip, he initially had no expectations, but as soon as his divine consciousness swept over it, his body trembled and his face showed disbelief. After a moment, he suddenly raised his head to look at Wang Lin, respectfully saying, "Thank you, seventh grandmother." Zhang Xianfan, having cultivated to this point, possessed extraordinary knowledge. With just a glance, he discovered that these 18 restrictions were extraordinary. They were all offensive restrictions. And the most important point was that these 18 restrictions could unexpectedly reinforce and support each other, which was extremely rare. Zhang Xianfan couldn't contain his excitement. He wished he could immediately go into seclusion and engrave all 18 restrictions onto his flying sword. Then, with the enhancement of these restrictions, he wouldn't have to fear anyone among the late-stage nascent soul cultivators. These 18 restrictions are merely 2 of the 19 sets of restrictions that Wang Lin devised after studying Yan Kuezi's straw hat. To achieve a total of 9,999 sets of restrictions, this number is far from sufficient. "I'm here to obtain the immortal jade." Wang Lin didn't waste any words, speaking frankly. Zhang Xianfan quickly nodded, saying, "Seventh grandmother, you receive 100 immortal jades per month. Please give me the token, and I will open the teleportation array for you." Hearing this, Wang Lin waved his right hand, and a token flew out. After receiving it, Zhang Xianfan respectfully stepped back a few paces, examined the ground, and calculated something with his hands. Finally, his eyes flashed, and he suddenly pressed the token down onto the ground. Wang Lin clearly saw that the spot where Zhang Xianfan pressed was precisely where the 3 silver streaks in the formation intersected in an instant. With a resounding crash, Zhang Xianfan lost his grip on the token. His body trembled, and he stumbled back several steps. But the token remained suspended in midair. The 3 silver streaks emerged from the ground, piercing through the token, their speed increasing rapidly until they were almost just after images merging into a single mass. A moment later, the token suddenly emitted a powerful purple light. This light rapidly spread in all directions. The 3 silver streaks immediately roared, merged together, and directly shot out from the token, flying towards the spirit pavilion not far away. They stopped at the 7th floor, forming a massive door. Zhang Xianfan hurriedly and respectfully said, "Seventh grandmother, please take the token and enter." Wang Lin said nothing more, took a step forward, grabbed the token from a distance, and his body transformed into a rainbow, flying towards the 7th floor. The light door was clearly a teleportation gate. As soon as Wang Lin stepped inside, his vision blurred, and when everything cleared, he was in a world like a celestial realm. The air was filled with fragrance, the sound of flowing water was soothing, 7 colored clouds drifted lazily across the sky, and occasionally immortal cranes flew by. In the air, the 7 colored clouds quickly merged, forming a huge figure. This figure's features were unclear, but it radiated an incredibly powerful immortal force. The token! A majestic voice emanated from the giant's mouth. Wang Lin's gaze was calm. He swung the token in his hand, sending it hurtling towards the giant. The token instantly transformed into a point of light and entered the giant's body with a pop. After a moment, the giant's voice rang out again. "The 7th son of the purple lineage, you still have 103 years to take the immortal jade. Do you want to take it all?" Wang Lin was stunned. Even with his composure, he couldn't help but be shaken. He took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "Take it all. There are a total of 136,000 blocks." The giant's voice echoed in the air. Blocks of immortal jade flew out from his body at an extremely fast speed, instantly piling up more than 10 meters away from Wang Lin. Wang Lin stared at the rapidly increasing pile of immortal jade, his mouth dry and his tongue burning. He couldn't believe the sheer quantity of immortal jade was so immense. In other sects, unless you're a disciple with over 1,000 years of experience, the amount of immortal jade wouldn't reach such an unbelievable level. Immortal jade is scarce. I don't understand why there's so much in the Heavenly Fortune sect. Wang Lin took a deep breath. The immortal jade had now piled up like a mountain. His eyes lit up, and he opened his storage bag, quickly collecting all the immortal jade. Afterward, he potted his storage bag, still feeling like he was dreaming. He shook his head and chuckled wryly, thinking to himself, no wonder others consider me a higher-level cultivator. My willpower is still insufficient. Those more than 10,000 immortal jade had just made him envious. At this moment, no matter who tried to stop him from taking the immortal jade, Wang Lin wouldn't hesitate to act. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin's eyes gradually regained their composure, recovering from the shock of the immortal jade. At this moment, the enormous figure in the air gradually dissipated, transforming back into the 7-colored clouds. Flashes of light flickered in the air, condensing into a token, which flew towards Wang Lin like lightning. Wang Lin raised his right hand, grasping the token. In an instant, his body was affected by an invisible force, directly pushing him 10 meters away before vanishing. Outside the spirit pavilion, Wang Lin's figure appeared in the void near the 7th level. As soon as he appeared, he transformed into a rainbow, directly soaring into the distance. Along the way, Wang Lin sped towards the Purple Forest Pavilion. Now that he had enough immortal jade, Wang Lin intended to go into seclusion to cultivate, aiming to absorb the immortal jade within the 3 sacred realms, thereby reaching the mid-stage of the nascent soul realm and vying for the title of one of the 7 heavenly sons. Wang Lin's speed was incredibly fast, like a flash of lightning. The sound he made in the quiet atmosphere of the mountain sect seemed strangely jarring. In an elegant bamboo building on the ground, 3 old men were seated. These were all law enforcement elders of the Heavenly Fortune sect. One of them looked up at Wang Lin, snorting in dissatisfaction. This Wang Lin really looks down on others, using such speed within the sect. The old man beside him shook his head and said, "The sect's founder once said that as long as he doesn't violate the sect rules, there's no need to bother with him. Moreover, although his cultivation isn't high, his forbidden fighting style is extremely rich. I think even if the 3 of us joined forces, we could only fight him to a draw." The last one held a purple jade teacup in his hand, taking a small sip, and said, "We don't need to worry about this. The competition among the disciples of the founding ancestor is extremely fierce. We've been in the Heavenly Fortune sect for over 1,000 years. Don't we know that already?" The 3 fell silent. Wang Lin flew straight ahead, returning to the Purple Forest Pavilion in just a moment. His body flashed, and he plummeted to the ground. As soon as he landed, his expression changed, and he looked into the distance. Suddenly, a rainbow appeared on the horizon, hurtling towards Wang Lin. The rainbow faded, revealing the figure of a late-stage nascent soul cultivator, his 4th senior sister. At the same time, ripples appeared beside Wang Lin. Zhao Crossingshaw, with a calm and composed expression, stepped out. To his right, a low growl emanated, and a middle-aged man, the 2nd-ranked disciple, appeared with a grim expression. Wang Lin calmly looked at the 3, slowly saying, "And you, fellow Taoist, still hiding in the shadows, why bother concealing yourself? Come out." He hadn't discovered anyone else, but rather, seeing that the 3 before him showed no fear, he guessed they had reinforcements. As soon as Wang Lin finished speaking, a sudden shout echoed through the space, reverberating above the 3. A figure in blue suddenly appeared. It was a young man, seemingly around 30 years old, but cultivators cannot judge age by appearance. Everything was imperceptible. That was just the outward appearance. This person was dressed entirely in blue, with 3 blue dragons embroidered on their chest. These 3 dragons looked fierce and ferocious, incredibly lifelike, especially their 3 pairs of dragon eyes, which radiated an oppressive aura. Saimaru Feng, the 2nd-ranked disciple of the Blue Sect of the Heavenly Fortune sect, smiled gently. After appearing, his gaze focused on Wang Lin. "Late-stage transformation. Your cultivation is slightly higher than 4th senior sisters, likely reaching the late stage of great perfection." Wang Lin's pupils involuntarily contracted. "Junior brother Wang Lin, although you are not from my lineage, I have long heard of your name. Today, I would like to introduce you to a senior brother. Senior brother Wang, since you are here, you should come out and meet him. Sima Ruofeng smiled and spoke loudly. HMPH, a voice as cold as ice emanated from the void. This voice was full of chilling intent, causing Wang Lin to slowly turn around. Behind him were several. 10 yards away, another figure had appeared seemingly out of nowhere. This person, clad in green, stood there like a 1,000-year-old ice statue. He coldly glanced at Wang Lin, then ignored him, closing his eyes to meditate. That single glance exuded a chilling aura befitting a supreme ruler. In his eyes, Wang Lin was not worthy of his attention. Although he hadn't reached the peak of his cultivation, he had already taken half a step into it. Wang Lin's expression darkened. The purpose of these 5 people coming here today was all too clear. Wang Lin took a deep breath, his right hand resting on his storage bag. At this moment, the 4th senior sister of the purple lineage showed a helpless expression on her face, bowing and saying, "7th senior sister, I was asked to do this by someone else, and I had no choice but to act. Please forgive me." As she spoke, she made a hand gesture, pointing into the void, and softly chanted. Suddenly, a silver light burst out from her body, instantly covering a 10-mile radius. Purple technique, teleportation. A soft shout rang out. The silver light surrounding them within a 10-mile radius suddenly trembled, flashing intensely, then instantly vanished. At the same time, both the woman and Wang Lin disappeared. More than 10,000 miles outside the heavenly fortune sect lay a vast stone forest, densely packed with rocks like sharp swords piercing the sky. From afar, this place was incredibly terrifying. A strange aura of killing intent emanated from these rocks, spreading and transforming, forming a fiery aura of murderous intent. At this moment, streams of silver light suddenly appeared above the stone forest. These rays of light became increasingly dense, until finally, the entire 10-mile radius was filled with dazzling light. This place was extremely desolate. Even the cultivators were mostly rogue cultivators. Even if they saw it, they would immediately stay away or observe from a distance, no one daring to approach. Within the silver light, 2 figures suddenly appeared, a man and a woman. The woman was quite beautiful, appearing like a fairy at first glance, her silk hat fluttering in the breeze, exuding a gentle and feminine charm. The man, dressed in purple, had an unremarkable appearance, but his eyes gleamed with a cold light. He was tall and imposing, standing there like a towering pine, arrogant and extraordinary. 4th senior sister's teleportation ability truly broadened my horizons. Wang Lin's eyes flashed as he calmly said. Before this woman displayed her divine ability, Wang Lin had immediately felt the space around him locked, making teleportation impossible. Furthermore, 4 streams of killing intent were concentrated on him. If he moved even slightly, he would be instantly subjected to a furious attack. These 4 streams of killing intent belonged to Zhao Crossing Sha outside the Purple Forest Pavilion, his 2nd senior brother, and to people from the green and blue factions. Their purpose wasn't to kill Wang Lin, but to intimidate him. With these people working together, Wang Lin didn't dare act rashly, so he had no choice but to let them teleport to this place. 7th senior sister, if you like this senior sister's divine abilities, wait until everything is settled, and I will pass them on to you. However, for now, I hope you will quietly seclude yourself here for 3 years. After 3 years, I will come and release you. 4th senior sister calmly and slowly said to Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged as he looked around. The place was filled with strange boulders, some of which had deep indentations carved into them by someone using divine abilities. Looking down from above, it was easy to see that this was a formation. Does senior sister think this formation can trap me? Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he reached out his right hand into the air. Immediately, a white light appeared in his hand, transforming into a sword light that struck a boulder on the ground. But this sword light hadn't even flown 100 feet before it dimmed eerily, unexpectedly turning into a single point of light before vanishing. Wang Lin raised his eyebrows. Junior brother, this formation was set up by our senior brother. If he wasn't absolutely certain, how could he be at ease trapping you here? So it's best not to overexert yourself. 4th senior sister sighed softly, her body flashing, transforming into a silver light, and directly flying out of the silver light's range. She turned and looked deeply at Wang Lin, softly saying, "Senior brother, I have now repaid the favor from back then. From now on, you and I have no further connection." After saying this, her body flashed, flying into the distance. That direction was towards the Heavenly Fortune sect. Wang Lin's eyes flashed as he stared at the disappearing figure, a cold glint rising in his eyes. He reached into his storage bag with his right hand, took out his immortal sword, and swept it across. A sword light several meters long instantly roared out, slashing fiercely towards the space below. The sword light was initially very powerful, but it weakened considerably. In just 3 breaths, the sword light completely disappeared. Wang Lin remained silent, his body flashing as he flew straight upwards. As soon as he ascended, he felt a tremendous resistance from the sky pressing down, preventing him from flying any further. This resistance grew stronger and stronger, eventually overwhelming the heavens and earth. Wang Lin let out a low growl, his body not only not retreating but also advancing even faster, once again surging forward several hundred meters. From afar, a purple figure could be seen soaring through the air above the stone forest, but a layer of silver light constantly enveloped him. The higher this person went, the more this layer of light followed him, stretching out into something resembling the character 1-1. This shape, veins bulged on Wang Lin's face. He let out a low growl and flew up a few more meters. At this time, the resistance from above was equivalent to a late-stage nascent soul cultivator using their full power. Wang Lin's face turned pale, his body shot backward like a shooting star, at an unimaginable speed, hurtling straight towards the ground. However, when he was still a few dozen meters from the ground, his body flicked, spun around a few times, and neutralized the downward force. Finally, he floated lightly like an autumn leaf onto a rock, his face gloomy as he stared at the sky, not saying a word. After a while, he potted his storage bag, and immediately a celestial sword flew out. Wang Lin pointed forward, and Suligo inside the celestial sword understood implicitly, roared, and charged madly toward the direction Wang Lin pointed. Behind him, the curved saber followed closely. This saber and sword shot straight towards the horizon, creating a tearing sound. Resistance reappeared, this time exactly the same as when it had pressed down from above. Immediately, Suliku's desperate cries rang out. "Master, it's no use. We can't break through this demon." The small saber is also useless. Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he waved his right hand. The immortal sword flew back, and the curved saber also circled around the immortal sword, emitting a series of resonant sounds, seemingly impatient. "They want to trap me here until the competition for the title of the 7 Sons of Heavenly Fortune ends before releasing me. How can I let them achieve their goal if this place is desolate? Then I will cultivate and strive to reach the mid-stage of the nascent soul realm. At that time, I will definitely be able to break through this place and return directly to the Heavenly Fortune sect." Wang Lin's body flicked, descending from the rock and heading straight into the deepest part of the stone forest. Deep within the stone forest, like sharp swords piercing the sky, Wang Lin's figure flashed like lightning. After numerous attempts, Wang Lin had found the boundary of this stone forest. Beyond this boundary, a shimmering light enveloped him, preventing him from escaping. He simply sat cross-legged on a rock, his right hand patting his storage bag. Immediately, a large quantity of sparkling immortal jade appeared all around him. Wang Lin sat amidst the immortal jade, looking incredibly dazzling from afar. His eyes were like torches, his hands forming a hand seal, pointing forward. Instantly, the immortal jade around him rose from the blocks, automatically falling to his fingertips. The moment the immortal jade touched his fingers, it emitted a crackling sound, then quickly turned from milky white to gray, finally becoming dull and shattering into pieces, falling from the air. Before reaching the ground, they were dispersed by a gentle breeze, scattering dust in all directions. As each shattered immortal jade fragment flew towards Wang Lin's finger was like a flame in the dark night, and the immortal jade fragments, like moths drawn to a flame, relentlessly rushed towards him. 1 fragment, 2 fragments, 3 fragments, 4 fragments. A large amount of immortal jade was absorbed by Wang Lin, turning into fragments. This process never stopped, continuing without interruption. Wang Lin's movements remained constant. His right index finger continuously absorbed immortal power, merging and condensing it. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin seemed to forget the passage of time, concentrating on breathing in and absorbing immortal power. Gradually, a golden halo slowly appeared behind him. This halo emitted a soft light, and within it, immortal power surged with extreme ferocity. This halo of light is generated when the immortal power within his body reaches a saturation state. Integrating it into his body provides a reserve of immortal power, preventing depletion during combat. Wang Lin continued to absorb the energy. At this moment, the immortal jade surrounding him was almost depleted. With a slight movement of his divine consciousness, a large quantity of immortal jade flew out from his storage bag, swirling around him. Wang Lin's eyes were now profound, shrouded in swirling mist. He gazed at the surrounding immortal jade, pondered for a moment, then took a deep breath. This action caused the immortal jade surrounding Wang Lin to instantly shatter. The fragments quickly spread outwards, releasing boundless immortal power. At this moment, the immortal power surged wildly towards Wang Lin's body. As the immortal power entered his body, Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he absorbed it with all his might. 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. The entire heavenly fortune star was preparing to welcome a momentous event that happened once in 1,000 years. That day was the 1,000-year birthday of Tianzi. Tianzi held a grand birthday celebration every 1,000 years. To this day, very few people knew his exact age, but each birthday celebration caused a stir throughout Heavenly Fortune Star. Even the Zhuanjin Alliance sent envoys to offer gifts. In this respect, very few cultivators in the 7th-level cultivation nations could achieve such a feat. Only Tianzi could. For the past month, the Great Formation outside Heavenly Fortune Star had temporarily ceased operation, and a large number of Tianyan sect disciples had been dispatched to welcome guests from all over. Besides those from outside, local cultivators also came to the Heavenly Fortune sect to offer gifts. The 5 small planets surrounding the Heavenly Fortune Star also had many cultivators coming to the main planet to celebrate the birthday of the Heavenly Fortune Master. Even many old masters who occupied their own small cultivation planets came to the Heavenly Fortune Star in person. It could be said that in the Heavenly Fortune Star, no sect was unaware of him. For the past month, the 7 sects within the Heavenly Fortune sect had built many rooms to accommodate guests. Almost every disciple of the Heavenly Fortune sect was busy. With so many people from various sects and from outside the planet flocking in, it was normal to exchange a few words with them. Those who came to offer congratulations were certainly not weaklings, and any exchange could be very beneficial. One day, the person assigned to guard the Great Formation outside the Heavenly Fortune Star was the senior disciple of the Purple Sect, Zhao Crossingshaw. He wore a yellow robe, a jade pendant made of warm jade hung from his waist, and an ancient sword was strapped to his back. He looked very refined at first glance. Moreover, his gentle expression made him very likable. At this moment, he stood in the midst of the mist, his head bowed as he gazed towards the distant Heavenly Fortune Star, a smile playing on his lips. The prestige of Master's birthday banquet is something I've never seen before. I'll definitely make many friends there, especially the sect leader of the Young Luo sect. His cultivation is not bad, and he's compatible with me. It's a pity that my 7th brother won't be able to participate in any of this. 7th brother, you and I have no enmity, but you absolutely shouldn't compete with me for the title of the 7 Heavenly Fortune Sons. 2nd brother has given up. I don't even consider 3rd brother worthy of my attention, and if 4th brother competes with me, I'll have my own way of keeping her. 5th brother was punished by Master and sent to the Heavenly Prison for 100 years of seclusion, and 6th brother is abroad for experience, his fate unknown. Whether he'll return or not is also uncertain. This time, the title of the 7 Heavenly Fortune Sons will definitely belong to me. Zhao Crossing's eyes gleamed with a strange light, and a smile played on his lips. Suddenly, the surrounding mist swirled violently. Zhao Crossing's expression changed, a benevolent look appearing on his face as he gazed into the distance. He saw a massive war chariot slowly approaching. This chariot was enormous, over 1,000 feet tall, entirely golden, and covered in countless terrifying spikes. Beneath the chariot were 4 gigantic beasts. These 4 beasts supported the chariot, allowing it to move at incredible speed. Loud roars echoed from afar, emanating from the 4 beasts. These 4 beasts possessed immense size and incredible strength, capable of flying through space in a short time. Not a miraculous feat, but one not to be underestimated. 10 figures, all clad in silver robes, stood on the chariot, their faces expressionless, their eyes cold and sinister. They were positioned around a certain point on the chariot. In the center of this chariot was a huge seat. A person was lying on it. His body was enormous, resembling a ball of flesh, his skin translucent and lustrous, like glass, drawing admiring glances. Zhao Crossingshaw instantly recognized the arrival of the chariot. He took a deep breath, stepped forward, and respectfully said, "Junior Zhao Crossingshaw, a disciple of the purple lineage of the Heavenly Fortune sect, greets Senior Jin Mo." The golden chariot stopped more than 100 yards away from Zhao Crossingshaw. A powerful, oppressive aura immediately focused on him, and the four enormous demonic beasts glared with their huge eyes, growling softly, even drooling from the corners of their mouths. On the chariot, 10 figures in silver robes stared intently at Zhao Crossingshaw, their gazes icy cold, without uttering a word. Zhao Xingqiao was drenched in cold sweat, his initial shock stemming from his knowledge of Jin Mozi's true identity. Jin Mozi was a venerable figure from a small planet belonging to the Heavenly Fortune sect. He single-handedly controlled an entire planet, acting with impunity. Anyone who dared provoke him would surely face furious retaliation. Moreover, he possessed a hot temper, often resorting to deadly attacks at the slightest disagreement. Countless people had died at his hands. Yet, his cultivation was extraordinary. Aside from a few exceptional individuals, no one could subdue him. It was rumored that Jin Mozi's cultivation had reached the legendary realm of the void and reality. "Little brat, what are you standing there for? Lead the way." The figure, like a ball on the chariot, raised his eyebrows and shouted. Zhao Xingqiao took a deep breath, his expression returning to one of gentleness, and respectfully said, "Please, Senior." As he spoke, he waved his hand. Immediately, the surrounding mist parted, revealing a long passageway. Under Zhao Xingqiao's guidance, the enormous golden chariot slowly flew towards Tianyuan Star. Similar events occurred almost daily on Tianyuan Star. Cultivators with great divine abilities flocked from other cultivation planets. Their appearance filled Tianyuan Star with discussions. Arguments frequently arose, but they were always restrained, and nothing violent ever occurred. The 7 sects of Tianyuan sect, including those outside, within a radius of tens of thousands of miles, now boasted exquisite buildings. These were the result of months of magical power, providing resting places for those who came to offer their congratulations. Looking down from the air, Tianyuan Star was centered around a mountain. This mountain was the Tianyuan sect itself. 7 colored light emanated from all sides of the Tianyuan sect. These 7 colors represented the 7 sects of Tianyuan sect. Outside, the architecture of the pavilions was dense and seemingly endless. From afar, it appeared boundless. Each time Tianyunzi celebrated his 1000th birthday, the number of attendees was unimaginably large. Yet, in the end, no more than 100 people could enter the Tianyun sect. Sometimes only a few dozen. As the birthday celebrants arrived one after another, the time for Tianyunzi's grand birthday celebration had come. On this day, the sky was cloudless for thousands of miles, the sea murmured, and a gentle breeze carried the fragrant scent of flowers and grass. At the Tianyun sect, there were 8 seats for the birthday banquet. The 7 sects of Tianyun sect red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple each had a seat at the banquet. Besides the 7 sects, the remaining seat was for Tianyunzi. Those who could be present were not ordinary people. At the very least, Jin Mozi had no chance to attend. With his status, he could only sit at the banquet organized by the Red Sect. More than 10,000 miles away from the Heavenly Fortune sect, in a rocky forest, a long-haired man sat cross-legged on a rock. His entire body was enveloped in a dense aura, appearing like a thick mist from afar. The surroundings were extremely quiet. Suddenly, he opened his eyes wide, 2 beams of light like full moons suddenly radiating from them. At this moment, the sky and earth suddenly changed color. The thick clouds frantically dispersed, revealing a vast expanse of clear blue sky. He raised his hands and pressed them in all directions in the void. Immediately, the dense aura surrounding his body surged like a raging valve, violently swirling and finally spreading wildly in all directions. A series of cracking sounds echoed continuously. The surrounding rocky forest, from inside to out, was suddenly filled with cracks. Gradually, the cracking sounds grew louder and louder, until finally, a continuous rumbling sound echoed, and the rocky forest shattered, turning into dust that swirled in the air. Almost instantly, within a 10-mile radius of the stone forest, only the towering rock where the long-haired man sat cross-legged remained intact. His eyes shone brightly, and he took a deep breath, causing the dense aura that had spread 10 miles to instantly contract and finally, like a funnel, plunge into his mouth. The scene resembled a giant whale sucking in water or a cloud dragon swallowing clouds. After the last wisp of aura was swallowed, he suddenly raised his head and let out a long, earth-shattering roar. With this roar, his body flashed, and he suddenly stood up. He wasn't exceptionally tall, but under the moonlight, he looked as if he could touch the heavens and the earth, inspiring awe in those who beheld him.